Bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Welcome. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Today's Monday, February 15th. 46 days into the new year. 319 days left. We are live from downtown Burbank, California. From the bunker. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. For KJCR and the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planets. I'm your so humble host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? Hope you had a great weekend, Valentine's Day. Did you do your duty yesterday? I know that you did. All right, back in the saddle. I just tweeted out right before. Mondays don't suck anymore, do they? They don't, man. Monday means I get to hang out with all of you and start a brand new week on Fade to Black. Wow. Let's change this country, the world, one day at a time. Tonight we have very special guest. Laura Eisenhower is back with us. Fired up. It's always great when Laura is here. Tomorrow night, live from London, England, Nick Jankel is with us. There's a coup d'etat. Got Nick Jankel on the show. He'll be with us tomorrow night. And then Wednesday, we will have Steve and Dawn Hess here for the first time on Fade to Black. And Ron Felber is going to join us as well. And if you listen to Coast on Saturday night, you know that Steve and Dawn now want to come forward and talk and tell about what happened out there in the Mojave Desert back in 1989. So that'll be Wednesday. And I promise, Coast to Coast is great. Love doing it. It's great venue, and it's a great experience every time I'm over there. But Fade to Black is a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit different with Steve and Dawn on Wednesday. I think they're going to be a little more comfortable. That was a big step for them, to step forward. And then of all the places that you're going to do that, you're going to do that on Coast to Coast. Okay, so now they've got that out, that's behind them. They'll be able to come on and just be comfortable, sit on the couch, and have a great conversation. That will be Wednesday night. And then Thursday night, Fader night, open lines. Yeah. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're over at Conscious Life. More on that in a bit. Do check out our newest sponsor, Life Change Tea. And you've been listening to the commercials. We've got lots of sponsors, but the one that has changed my life and Rita's is Life Change Tea. Go over to getthetea.com. Feel like me, because I feel great. And today, I'm going to throw Rita under the bus. So I'm here at the bunker in the studio working, writing, researching, doing my thing. She comes in from her studio, which is next door to this one, right? She comes strolling in, do. And I'm working, I'm concentrating, and she silently from the other side of the computer monitors, right? I see the caps of all of my Life Change tea products are getting unscrewed. And then she gets a handful of everything and then walks out. Doesn't say anything. I'm like, now, you think you're being sneaky? But she had to do it. Stuff is great. GetTheTea.com. She could have asked. She can get her own, but no. It was kind of cool. Tiptoed in. Ding, 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 ding. Didn't think I saw her, right? Because I got all these monitors in front of me. She can't see my eyes. What she didn't realize, I could see her little hands from behind the monitors. Unscrewing each bottle. She did it. She was busted. Yeah. All right. Studio Dome. Yes, that Fader Night special is still going strong because it's just been great for everybody. So Studio Dome's going to keep it going. And that's it. It's a great deal. It is a hard shell case with a subwoofer, 2 satellite wireless speakers, and a Bluetooth surround sound system for $99 with power supplies and everything. And little cases, too, for the little satellite speakers that fit inside, so you get like a double case. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Just go to Studio Dome at jimmychurchradio.com. Now, the 14th annual Conscious Life Expo is this weekend, everybody. It's this weekend, February 19th through the 22nd at the LAX Hilton. Yes, ConsciousLifeExpo.com has got all of the info. Want to remind everybody what kind of weekend this is. Friday, we're going to do a live broadcast of Fade to Black in the main room, and we are going to have guests. Ready? We're going to have David Wilcock, Corey Good, Sean Stone, Dean Ryan, Linda Moulton Howe, William Henry, Mike Barra, Rosemarie Guiley. Laura Eisenhower, by the way, is going to be there too. She's going to be on the show tonight, and she is actually going to be at the expo early enough to make it to the show. Hey, so Laura will be with us on Friday, and Nick Jankel. He's flying in from the UK. He's going to make it in time for the show. We have that book. And also Grant Cameron. Now, we're going to have a few other special surprises. So that, you got to save some stuff. And that's what we're doing. Got to save some stuff. And then on Saturday morning, I'm going to be hosting the Ancient Aliens panel. And I'm presenting Linda Moulton Howe with a much-deserved Lifetime Achievement Award. What is crazy about the Conscious Life Expo? 104 speakers and panelists. Yes, 104. It's insane. Tickets and info right now at ConsciousLifeExpo.com. And if you can't be there, just get the live stream. Go to JimmyChurchRadio.com. You see the banner there that says Get the Stream. Click on that. Get the stream. And what's cool about that, seriously, is you get to see Fade to Black in living color. Yeah, because Fade to Black's broadcast with everybody is going to be on their live stream with video. It's going to be cool. You're going to want to see that. If you can't make it, do it. Now, of course, we'll be broadcasting, live at, normally on KGRA and everything else, so everything is fine. But a video presentation of Fade to Black. I got to wear makeup. I got to shave. Yeah, Joshua just said Technicolor. Exactly. The peacock, right? Yeah, I'm going to have to shave. I'm going to have to wear clean clothes and deodorant and brush my teeth, but it's going to be great. You don't want to miss it. And then once we start to get February behind us, we can take a little bit of time off. We have some other projects that we're working on, by the way. Those announcements are going to be happening over the next month or two. Pretty exciting stuff. And then once we get that stuff out of the way, Contact in the Desert is June 3rd through the 6th in Joshua Tree, California. Then a month later, it's back to Big Bear, where we're going to do Alien Mountain Fest. And there you go. Oh, and then, of course, in between all of that is Roswell on July 1st. So an exciting summer coming up for all of you. And Fade to Black is going to be great. Let's get this show cracking. I am ready. I'm looking at text. Yes. Okay, Ree, I see it. I'm so happy. Yes. For now. I'm happy. Today, Matt Groening is 62. How many years has The Simpsons been on? Is that like the longest running TV show in history? I have a really bad squeaking thing going on. What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. Huh. Okay. Well, then let me do this. Bam, bam. If that's what he's talking about, that's weird because it sounds fine in here. Anyway, see, I get distracted with Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. It's what you want to do. I really do read Twitter in real time as it goes. All right, let's go. Jane Seymour today is 65. And Jane was in Head Office. This is why she makes the list. The movie Head Office, one of the funniest movies you have never seen. Go and check out Head Office. I am sure it's out there somewhere. Hilarious. Incubus frontman Brandon Boyd today is 40. And our dead guys' birthdays today are Galileo. Yeah, okay, that's good. But if I got a top Galileo on a dead guy's birthday, there's only one guy that can do it, and that's Harvey Korman. 1927 to 2008, died at the age of 81. His big break was being a featured performer on the Danny Kaye Show, but is best remembered for performances on the Carol Burnett Show. But for me, not really. For me, it's all those films that he did with Mel Brooks, including, for me, one of the funniest roles of all time, playing Hedley Lamar in Blazing Saddles. But there was also High Anxiety, Herbie Goes Bananas, First Family, History of the World Part 1, both Trail and Curse of the Pink Panther, both movies, The Long Shot, the Radioland Murders, right? Harvey died at the age of 81 on May 29th, 2008 at the UCLA Medical Center as a result of complications from a ruptured abdominal aortic aneurysm. He had suffered that about 4 months earlier, died at the age of 81. And so I had to go right here. Right now, let's light up Twitter at JChurchRadio, hashtag F2B, because I want to know the best Harvey Korman line in Blazing Saddles. Bob, you are good, because right there, how do you do that, Bob? How do you tweet that fast? That's amazing, because that scene right there of Harvey Korman in Blazing Saddles. Okay, come on, I got to be professional here. What's Harvey's best line, your favorite from Blazing Saddles? I have mine, and I should, you know what? I'm just going to do it now because I need to move on. My favorite line, it's Hedley. He says it 50 times. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter. Everything's Fade to Black, J Church Radio, Jimmy Church Radio. You know what to do. Go follow, like, subscribe. If you're at jimmychurchradio.com right now, all of them are there. Just click and do it. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. If it's good, it will get here to me during the show, and I might even read it. Tonight, we have very special guest. Laura Eisenhower is back with us. I titled the show tonight, Good versus Evil. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. And Laura is the best at that. That is her life. Tomorrow night, live from London, England, Nick Jankel is here. Wednesday, Steve and Dawn Hess. And for the first time on Fade to Black, they're going to tell us about what really happened that night in the Mojave Desert way back in 1989. The call-in number tonight is 323-825-5045. On this day in history, in 1961, on this day, the entire 18-member U.S. figure skating team is killed in a plane crash in Belgium. The team was on its way to the 1961 World Figure Skating Championships in Prague, Czechoslovakia, and the plane went down. Horrible day. Fader fact, 41% of all amphibian species right now are on the brink of extinction. And that is a fader fact. So last night, it was my first hour, Rita's and I, first day off in like 21 days. We worked straight through. And it was our first day off, and it happened to be Valentine's Day. So my first day off, obviously, I was at Coast until 2 in the morning, get home at 3. And bright and early, Rita gets me up, 3 hours of sleep. And my job yesterday on Valentine's Day, on my day off, was mopping the floors and yard work. That's right. Why? Because we had family coming over for a Valentine's Day dinner, right? Over at the house in the backyard, our favorite thing to do, as everybody knows. So, that's what I had to do. And we had this get-together, and it's great. There were just 6 of us, which means it's a perfect setting for great conversation. And yes, it got really good. But it was started with politics, which is great. That's cool. If you're going to start off somewhere, you're going to go there. And yeah, I know it's politics, and that's not what this show is about. But stay with me for a second. Just stay with me. If you like a really good conspiracy like I do, we have one playing out in real time in front of us right now. And as crazy and out there as this one can sound, it's the only thing that can explain the total lack of talent in the current presidential bid. First, you're probably thinking about what I mean by total lack of talent, because that's harsh. I get that. Well, just look at every single proposed candidate right now. Not one, none should be POTUS. Should be. None. They could be, because that's what we do. We elect. And ever since you were a kid, you could grow up to be president. Anybody can grow up to be president, right? You know what it is. You put your name in the hat, and if you get enough votes, you win. That's what we do. We elect. As strange as that is, should and could are two different things. Should is another word altogether. You could be president, yes, but should you be president? It's absolutely frightening that any one of them is going to sit in the Oval Office. And it's pretty darn clear. It's a really good possibility, almost 100%, that one of them will. Now, back to the conspiracy. Okay, that's how my brain works. Back to the conspiracy. It's frightening, isn't it? On both sides of the fence right now, we have exactly the same thing. Democrat, Republican. Throw in a third fence if we don't have that right. Well, write-in ballot, we would. But that doesn't matter. It would be the same thing. On both sides of the fence, we have only one person that can win. Right? Of course. And we have a bunch of others who can't. Now, how is this a conspiracy? Let me explain. First off, how could this happen? It seems that, to me, that some influence somewhere made sure that there was an illusion of a presidential race. Stay with me. There is no way that Cruz, Rubio, or a Bush will run this country. It's impossible. It ain't going to happen. Forget about it. And that leaves this guy Trump. And what that dingbat did was genius. Or was it planned? It doesn't matter. It's a conspiracy. He's got all of them fighting like little kids on a playground right now, literally, about anything but this country or the world. It's crazy how successful this tactic has been. Whether it's planned or not, it's working. Everybody is watching this and thinking, are you guys adults? Are you guys professionals? Are you someone that can run this country? or are you all a bunch of immature little children? Because that's what the world, the country, everybody's looking at this and freaking out. Because we're not stupid. He's got them so far off track right now, so far off the rails that they forgot why they are there in the first place, which is supposed to be for us. For us, for the country. It's insane. It's so brilliant, and it's happening. It's all an illusion. It's sleight of hand. It's there to make everyone think this is a legitimate run for the White House. And it is not. Rubio isn't any more qualified, or Cruz, or Jeb Bush to run this country, the greatest country in the free world, the greatest country in the world. They know there is no way they could do it because they can't. And they're showing everybody right now with the stupid infighting about anything but what matters that they're not qualified. It's genius. Somebody planned this. It's a conspiracy. And then you've got a crazier situation. You've got the other side, Hillary and whoever. Someone found Bernie. I don't know how that happened. I really don't. The one guy who knows nothing about anything. He's a doofus. We know that. It's kind of an enduring quality, too, about him. His dumbness. But somebody somewhere said, let's find a guy who apparently has, let's go down the checklist. Let's find somebody who has never had a real job. I've checked, by the way, and there's not much out there on him. I wanted to know about the guy, so I go and I check out, and there's nothing out there about Bernie. You can't find out anything. The guy never lived a life. So if he's never really had a real job or career, you can't find a carpenter, he's a whatever. But there's nothing there on the guy, which means he can't know much about responsibility, never had a job, never got up in the morning, never paid taxes, doesn't know anything about government, politics, the world. I don't care how long he's been in the Senate, Congress, none of that matters. Before that, there's nothing. Go and look. There's little things here and there. Little things. But there's nothing. Guy's never experienced life. We know very little about his personal life because, well, he just didn't have one. He's never done anything. Well, again, kinda. He did some writing for a local paper back in the early 70s. But, somewhere someone said, yeah, let's get this guy in there. We can't have someone serious or, she's going to lose. And there's no way that she should be able to win with Benghazi and the emails and that relationship with Chinese and missiles. And it's crazy. But that's the best we've got. Apparently. Now, here's a quote from Bernie. Let me throw this one out there at you. Tell me this isn't the darkest conspiracy ever. Dark. Here's a quote from Bernie. His own hand, by the way. I'm quoting. The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And the vast majority in the middle are having a harder and harder time. This is the burning and fundamental issue of this campaign. End quote. No kidding, Bernie. How late did you stay up thinking that up? That's been the issue of every campaign for the last 200 years. 2,000 years. Bernie wrote that in 1974. And you have to ask yourself, but why? Why does the United States, the most powerful, most rich, most free, most everything ever in the history of the world, find itself in this kind of position? Out of every member of Congress, the Senate, the House, this is it? This is the best we got? Every governor, every mayor of every town and city across the country. This is it? Seriously? Let's go deeper. Out of every single citizen in the United States who meets the qualifications for POTUS, this is all we've got? This is it? I just don't think so. And that's where the conspiracy is. It just seems that the powers that are running everything have won. They've succeeded. They've given us the illusion of an election year, giving us choices that we cannot possibly make. And that, my friends, is the darkest of conspiracies. And it's happening right here, right now. They don't want or need someone real in the Oval Office. They don't. Because if they did, we would have it. We need to tap out. We need to tap out right now and start over. We got to figure out who is the cog in the machine that is running this for us. Because it ain't what we got running right now. And any one of them sitting in the Oval Office scares the crap out of me. Because none of them, not one, is qualified. Fire up that time machine. Set that baby for 2015. We need to start this election over. And unfortunately, we can't. I thought about one strange thing today. I couldn't say for certain that 100%, it was a 100% certainty that one of these doofuses is going to end up in the Oval Office. Something could change. Somebody could surface and say, now I'm running. Some miracle, some Messiah. Somebody just come up and save us all from this craziness that's about to go down. So you can't say 100% it's going to be one of them. But it probably is. And that, my friends, is a dark day. And I don't know how we're going to recover. I don't. Can you just imagine for a second? Don't wreck your car if you're driving right now. Can you imagine Ted Cruz in the Oval Office? Close your eyes and think about that. Jeb Bush, Donald Trump, Hillary, Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders sitting in the Oval Office. Oh, man. It's crazy. All of the brilliant minds and cool people here in the United States. And that is the best that we can do. I don't think so. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. When I come back after the break, right here, Laura Eisenhower. Didn't get to the news that you know nothing about because I'm a little hot right now. I need everybody to think. Yeah, don't hit the panic button yet, but we might be right there. I'll be back with Laura Eisenhower right after this. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I got to tell you, it was a relief. National Tax Experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil 3-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletzky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fade or Nots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Tonight, Laura Eisenhower is with us. Tomorrow night, Nick Jankel live from London, England. Then on Wednesday, it's Steve and Dawn Hess for the first time on Fade to Black to tell us about their story in the Mojave Desert in 1989. But tonight, it's all about Laura. Laura Eisenhower is a global alchemist, cosmic mythologist, intuitive astrologist. She's an internationally acclaimed speaker who has presented her work worldwide. Laura is the great-granddaughter of President Dwight David Eisenhower. She is considered by many to be one of North America's leading researchers on health, exopolitics, alchemy, and ancient history. Laura works to free us from the 3D holographic time loop, false archonic systems, and military-industrial complex that exposes hidden agendas so we can take care and take our power back. Feeling a calling regarding her mission since she was a child, she has gained an incredible insight through experience, psychic development, and research about how to guide us into higher earth energies. Her passion is to inspire unity, consciousness, and I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, Laura Eisenhower. Laura, good evening.
Good evening, Jimmy. How you doing?
What are you doing, young lady?
What am I doing? Oh gosh, lots of things. I'm in the middle of a move, which I know I've been posting about, and I just did Ancient Aliens, and I'm on my way to the Expo, and I'll be seeing you there and doing some talks, doing a panel, and then a online workshop with Portal to Ascension. And so you can find out about that on my website. But yeah, that's basically what's been happening.
So I just have to ask you, a little while ago, you had posted some stuff about your health, and, you know, you had to go do that thing at the hospital for a little bit. How it hasn't slowed you down, apparently. How are you doing today? Are you good? Are you cool?
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, I always look at it as a, catalyst anytime there's adversity like that. And, I've had a relatively healthy life. Medical emergencies aren't really something I'm used to. And I have a background in health and, I started an organic food shipping and delivery company in the early 90s. So I've always had a lot of attention on nutrition and health related matters. And I speak on subjects like that. And so, it's interesting when you go through something and it's not necessarily just lifestyle. You think of other factors that are involved. And I'm not one to say, oh, I'm attacked and always throw it as something outside of myself. I take full responsibility for where I'm allowing energies in.
Right.
So I saw it as, a wonderful opportunity to work energy, to work alchemy, to understand what's going on within myself, but also where I'm vulnerable to what's outside of me. And so obviously it's a co-creation that we're in, and we're dealing with, forces that do attack, but it's always an opportunity to strengthen ourselves and to, look at what we can do to be senior to those forces, which is what we're doing on the planet. So I always gain wisdom and experience and insight anytime adversity strikes. And this time it was on a health level. So I found my humor. And the minute I started to just kind of laugh at the whole thing,
right,
just sort of looking around me like, okay, and just, found, I guess, some levity in the situation. My body rapidly healed, and I went to an event not too long after and noticed even, in my research that it can take months and even years to recover from something like that. And so I wasn't going to push it or anything and assume that I was, just able to jump up and go. But I've been very careful, and I feel like, I'm doing really, really well.
Well, let me jump in. I think the one thing that you learned, and I read all of your postings, and, we communicated a little bit through that. And, hospitals suck. That's the bottom line. You're not there to go and vacation, right? You're there for a reason. But for me, the healthcare system, and you've talked about this a lot too, the healthcare system is messed up. And it's a treadmill catch-22 kind of thing if you get all wrapped up in it. I always say this, you need a when do you need a doctor? You need a doctor when you break your arm. That's where they can really help you, right? That's when you got to go to the hospital, something that's out of your control. And in this case, that's why you were there. It wasn't a lifestyle thing or anything like that, or eating wrong. No, sometimes things can go wrong and you need a hospital. But I was totally shocked when you were like, okay, I'm good. I'm good. I was like, how can you be good? But you did. You got healthy pretty quick, and you went and were off doing your thing right after that.
Well, sometimes I look at it like a checklist, like, okay, added that to my repertoire of something to go through to be the alchemist so that I can maybe inspire others that are in a similar situation and feel maybe victimized by the medical industry or start to fall into the traps of some of the medication they wish to prescribe and just what the whole atmosphere is about. Very often I see myself as an observer when I'm in challenging situations, kind of like, okay, I'm taking an assessment here, and but I'm also seeing how when you connect to the heart and soul of an individual outside of their matrix programming, you're also dealing with real individuals that might not realize that they're serving something that's dark or not very helpful, and some people are wanting to break through that, and you can have a real conversation with them about things that are more alternative, and how the mind really does wish to open, just like the immune system really wants to work on our behalf.
Right.
And of course, the medical industry is like, how can we sort of take advantage of this person's vulnerability and make it harder or create some level of dependency through the protocol of medication we give to them. And so, and I saw the medications they wanted to give me, and I've stayed away from pharmaceuticals, but, there was one anxiety pill. I was like, I wouldn't mind just seeing what that's like, and did a little bit of research on it and stopped that pretty quick. I did enough research to know beforehand that it's not a good idea, but even the most minuscule amount started to really remind me and hit the point home that, this isn't the way to go. And I understand, alternative, and I don't even consider it alternative, how to work with herbs and other things. But it was such a high voltage time of anxiety and being out of my body and, feeling more attacked than I've ever felt that, I leaned on it just for long enough to just remind myself and also build even more compassion about the struggle that people are in when they go about that. So every once in a while, sometimes just having a taste of something gives us enough to maybe be able to, speak about it and assist people. And that's my hope and intention. But of course, I'm in a process myself all the time, being very humble to my experience so that, I'm gaining something good that I can share with a lot of confidence.
How does one, and you and I were talking about this earlier today, I kind of want to jump into this before the break a little bit, but how does one, and how did you go about cutting loose of all that excess baggage, that people just carry, the negativity, and I picture some of my friends that I can tell they're slowing down because they're carrying 30, 40, 50 pieces of Samsonite, right? And all of this weighs down on them mentally. And I don't carry. How do you get rid of the negativity around you?
Well, that's a really great question. And, we're made of earth, air, fire, water, and we're also able to connect with, the ethers, the fifth element, or we can be in this inversion and in our negative ego where toxicity and, dark negative forces can create a lot of burden on us, which affects our physical body. So, the more we connect with the concept of unity, our spirit self, inspiration, and our creative imagination and our capacity to manifest our dreams and visions into reality, and we allow the negative to be a catalyst and not judge it, I think, being real with ourselves allows us to experience, the four elements in the way nature expresses itself. So if I feel a heaviness, I really spend a lot of time doing inner work, and I always have. And so if I feel like a buildup of negative energy in my emotional body, I make sure that I cry. I make sure that I write. I make sure that I do something artistic or creative so that it doesn't stay internalized. If my mind feels overloaded, if I've been, in the rabbit hole too long and I've run out of carrots, I'm like, okay, what do I need to do in order to, keep it from affecting my nervous system? Because once your nervous system is going a little haywire, then you lose your grounding and you're very susceptible to things like attack and, things like frequency modulations that come into the body and create distortions. And so, it's really being the observer. So I'm the observer from the minute I wake up to the minute I fall asleep. And I try and be as conscious as I can, about what dreams I'm having, which, often are lucid. Sometimes I don't remember them, but, and so I'm just, really real with the process. So like fire element, that connects with anger, but it also connects with passion. And so if I'm angry about something, I flip it over and I say, well, what is it you're passionate about? Focus on the passion instead of letting the anger eat at you. And so I just look at it like, the earth as well. If we can take care of our inner elements, we're going to help to purify the outer elements. And very often we're at the mercy of the outer elements and we allow ourselves to be contaminated, which is what the propaganda and programming and all the stuff that we're up against is always doing. But if we realize that we're the influencer and that we can manage these elements by being genuine and real with ourselves, then we can bypass the new age deceptions, and we can also bypass any programming that represses us or makes us feel like it's not okay to feel or to express or to, really speak our truth and walk our path.
When was the last time you got angry? Oh, let me, before you answer that, I remember maybe 6 months ago, you were having some car issues, right? And you know what I'm talking about. Now, that would drive most people nuts and make them angry and point fingers and try to figure out, who was messing, you know what I mean? You handled that really well. I don't know. You could have been angry, but when was the last time you got mad?
Well, anger is something I run into, every day, and I work to transmute it, and I wouldn't say I act upon it. Sometimes it feels like divine rage is something that I feel needs a voice, to create justice. I mean, that's always, when we look at the larger world, that's always going to be a trigger. But in my own personal life, I just think humor is where it's at. My background's in wilderness expedition leadership. And, I started off after leaving DC where I was raised, on a bike with a backpack going up and down hills with my groceries. I lived on the road for a while, recycling $10. And I really learned, especially in the wilderness, how energy works. And if you're holding on to negative energy or fear, immediately you see that direct reflection because you're up against nature and there's no buffer. There's no reward for being in your negative ego when you're in nature, like in society where, hey, if you're greedy, you're going to get money or you're going to succeed, or there's some programming connected to the way the masculine and feminine relates in a very screwed up way that sort of is glorified. But when you're in nature, it's like, it's very raw. And so when adversity strikes, when I'm in, I guess you could say, civilization, first of all, especially after, I don't watch much TV, but when I watched Human Planet, I was just reminded of, oh my God, look at what these people go through to get food. They're going under these like snow reefs and catching what they can. And if the tide comes in, they're dead, and, it's just kind of like not taking anything for granted and realizing, hey, if I have to hike to the store with my backpack, so what? And if my car, doesn't work, big deal, because it's a car. And I don't know. It's like I trained, I guess, myself in my early years, and I still take this to heart and I still act upon it, what it means to live in simplicity and what it means to really work, for a meal and what it means to go without and how resourceful one has to be. So if I was out of money, I would say, okay, I guess I meant to fast, because if I go into poverty consciousness or if I go into anger or fear, that's when the predatory energies start to come at me. And that's what I learned in the wilderness and, in civilization, actually more so, because in the wilderness, I could be around rattlesnakes and scorpions and they were fine with me and I was fine with them, because you're so humbled by the experience because you want to stay alive and you want to enjoy the beauty. But when you're in civilization and you start to match some of the programmings connected to money or resources, right, and you start to get pissed or you start to feel like a victim, it's amazing the things you begin to reflect and how, negative energy from people and, just from others, can exacerbate it and make it even worse. It's okay to get angry though, but you have to hold an intention that, is open to miracle energy, which is natural for us, or open to, something, that allows us to release or be genuine with our process, because we can't always be positive, but to recognize that it's a catalyst, and the quicker we move through it, the better. It's inevitable we're going to mourn when somebody passes away. It's inevitable we're going to cry when we're going through a breakup, or if we have to move or, do something. It's inevitable that we're going to feel fear if we're up against something that we feel threatened by. But if we work with it and we don't linger in it, it can actually help to expand us. But we're so busy either judging our reactions to things or suppressing it that it can jumble up the way that we resolve things. And so I always look at it as an opportunity to play with energy. So when my car was broken down, it was like walking to the store, the kids are waving at me in the park, and I'm just like, this is awesome. The flowers look beautiful, and, and I've got so much to be grateful for. And I love the fact that I had to walk real far carrying toilet paper under my arms and, with all this stuff in my bag. And whether my car gets fixed or not, it's like, there's something to laugh at and be grateful for. And that's kind of my approach to everything. But yes, I have my moments where I'm just, the F word serves me and I say it and it helps me release energy. But, but I like to move through it as quickly as possible, and especially not take it out on others, and do something constructive where I turn it on myself a little bit, not in a way that's injuring to me, but in a way that's going to help, because to me, that's where the real education of life is. Life is the greatest teacher, more so than any master or book. Why is life reflecting this to you? Why is it showing up? Sometimes it's to strengthen us. Sometimes, it's to wake something up. Sometimes it's just we're in a situation and we're vulnerable, and, we can, expand our heart in those moments. So that's where I get the greatest education, is through the adversity I experience, which makes the blessings that much sweeter.
You said something key there. You said, how to learn to recognize, and you speak so fast, and now I've got to go back and grab it. But that's the key, is to recognize those moments when you're there. For example, let me give you an example. When and not to be a judge, right? But you're with a friend, it's a close friend, whatever. You're at I'm making this up, but you're at Starbucks, and your friend sits down with their coffee, and they go, "Oh man, too much cream. Man, I knew they were going to mess it up." And I'm just like, dude, relax. It's not that big of it. Well, man, and that's an example where I jump, I go, why does that, me, if that happens, I almost don't even know. You know what I mean? It's called move on and just whatever, But How do you recognize if you are just getting a little bit too agitated because somebody is trying to pull you down?
Yeah, well, boundaries are really important. And, also knowing that it's probably an accumulation of things and they're reacting to something, on the surface when really they might be truly upset about maybe the health of their relationship or something that happened, in work. If somebody's already got a lot piled in there, the slightest thing is going to make them crack, something very superficial and silly.
Right.
So, at times when I'm in that situation, it's like, okay, is there something that you want to release or talk about to get, yourself back into balance? And if I find myself agitated at the littlest things, I realize, geez, the boxes are piling on and it's kind of like that straw that broke the camel's back, but it's really hard to get upset over the little things unless there's something deeply troubling me already. And I, because I'm so self-aware and I make myself, I give myself an education from the positives and negatives that show up, trying to find as much neutrality and balance in it.
Right.
It helps me to see people more clearly and sort of kind of guide them. And because I do readings all the time in sessions, I've seen so many different combinations in the astro chart connected to, kind of the pressure cooker building and having the superficial part of a person just be so bent out of shape. Whereas, the actual wounds exist and they're unconscious and on really, really deep levels, which is why we ever have physical symptoms. Our first chakra, which is our survival chakra, that gives us information about how to take care of ourselves and how to function in our environment. That's also the chakra that produces symptoms and unwellness. But that's, energies we haven't been able to process, release, or transmute. And it just got, brushed under the carpet. Particularly when we're young, we don't have the opportunity to work out our wounds because somebody isn't going to necessarily sit there and say, okay, let's talk about it. Very often we're shut up or shut down. And so I find that people that are really reactive or easily triggered or overly emotional at the littlest things, might even have, health issues. And, and I want to say, hey, you want a reading? And, I carry my cards everywhere I go. So sometimes it's easy to just, hey, we're at a coffee shop. Hey, I got some cards. You want to work some energy? But if I notice that it's dragging me down or depleting me and that person just has no ability to self-reflect, sometimes I have to gracefully walk away, but still, hold out, a helping hand, but only if that person is, willing. Otherwise, I can't exist as a friend very easily, with somebody that's not willing to do the inner work.
What do you do when you're doing somebody's cards or charts and you're looking and there's like, I'm again just pulling numbers out. There's 6 months of a hard road in front of somebody. What do you do? Do you let them down easy, or do you tell them you need to nut it up, man, because for the next 6 months?
Right. Well, that's another great question. Well, I've gone through so many kind of death, rebirth, dark night of the soul experiences, and I don't have the easiest chart. But there is a lot of supportive energies as well, and pretty much every chart I see shows the potential of somebody being, on an avatar consciousness level. Because if we think about it, our 12-strand DNA potential and beyond 12 strands is there, and you're going to see that. When I look at charts, I can see, kind of like the map. Like, okay, if you work with this and you work with that and you're conscious, you can get yourself to the 0 point. You can find a way to work with these forces to graduate from the wheel, which is sort of, when I'm saying, help people out of the 3D time loop. Astrology is a great tool because if we see it, it's a wheel. There's a 13th sign we haven't really paid attention to until now. And so what I do when I see something that represents a really tough road ahead, I just help them to prepare. I don't speak in terms of duality, like good or bad or, oh, that relationship should end. It's more like, okay, how can we be constructive? How can we allow this to be a tool to expand that person's consciousness? Because that hard road ahead is really a blessing. And so if we can look at these things as, an opportunity, look at what mountain climbers do. That really is hard on the muscles. It's hard on oxygen levels. It's hard to, and again, having a background in wilderness expedition leadership gave me a lifetime of metaphors, because does a leader or an expert, do they get to be that way because everything was easy? No. just like a sailor or an expedition leader. It's not because it was sunny every day and the weather was perfect and no poisonous creatures showed up. It's because you've been there, done that, and you've learned how to master the element or master your environment, not in a way that controls it, but in a way that is co-creative with it. And so I'll kind of give the weather forecast, like, okay, if you need to bring your raincoat, if you need, this extra stuff and this extra equipment, that's how I'm going to help a person handle it. Is just saying, okay, maybe you're not used to this sort of territory or climate, but if you bring this or are aware of it, it can serve you and you're going to see a beautiful view when you get to the other side, and it's going to be well worth your while. And dropping all those metaphors, I guess what I'm trying to say is, when we sign up for something that's painful, we see how it strengthens us and we're in agreement to it. But when it comes at us when we least expect it, we can very often feel like a victim to it. But we have to understand that our unconscious self and our higher self, the higher and lower are integrated if we allow it, that we've invited those things for a reason, and we have to just trust ourselves that the experience is going to enrich us. But we can take two roads, or we can see it in two different ways. And there's one way that's going to make it a lot longer to have a revelation and an epiphany about it. And there's ways to accelerate that. So I try and help them accelerate it without doing it for them. For example, Uranus creates shock and upheaval and crisis. But sometimes it can take people years and years and years to put together the pieces and look back and say, okay, now it makes sense. Okay, yes, that woke me up. Sometimes it can take a moment and a flash of realization, and the lesson's been learned or the experience has been integrated, and that person can move on. And so we see sometimes a person that's having a really, really hard time integrating an experience, whereas maybe somebody else gets it right away. And so I just try and help them to see their own wisdom without telling them what to do or how to do it, because my job, or what I see my role is to kind of hold the mirror up and say, I'm just giving you yourself back, and the rest of you will kind of know what to do with it, and it'll be more familiar with it. Kind of like seeing a picture of where you're going to travel to go on vacation. You're not just going to go there, if you don't have an idea. And so it gives us a glimpse, but we don't necessarily need it either. But when we're really, dealing with matrix stuff, because we're in this incredible window period. We've got all these different forces that we're, dealing with. It can really, really help us to see ourselves clearly in the face of a lot of things that are trying to lead us astray or separate us from our own truth.
We're going to be heading towards a break here in about a minute. And before we get there, I'm going to set this up for the other side. If we get there, right, we're all running around with flowers hanging out of our pockets, and that's how I try to live my life, and everybody's happy and it's all good and it's all honest, and we just got rid of the man, and we really get to that point, right? Is too much of a good thing, Laura, a bad thing? Do we need some negative out there to keep us on the right path?
Well, there's definitely a reason that we're going through this. We look at the tree of knowledge, just on a metaphorical level. It relates to our DNA and the fact that we don't have all our strands turned on. Now, yes, a part of it is because frequency fences were put in our DNA by negative beings, but we've also got seals put in our DNA so that we don't activate too quickly and make the same mistakes that kind of put us in the situation that we're in.
Right.
And so this methodical sort of step-by-step experience that we're in gives us a taste of both, and the full spectrum of many different aspects and archetypes that we're really here to integrate and bring into harmony, rather than rejecting parts of who we are or being polarized, choosing one side or the other, which is what we're faced with when we're looking at things like transhumanism. That's only functioning with the left brain. It's not allowing the feminine. It's not allowing our creativity and intuition. And we want to take the easy route. I don't, but a lot of people do. And I'm sure a lot of listeners are in agreement that we would rather have our creative freedom than be locked into this artificial intelligence system. But it's glamorized and it's shown in a certain way to tempt us. And so
let me jump in right there. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Laura Eisenhower. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Stay right there.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
People love to shop. What if you could shop and it was actually good for you? What if you could actually purchase items that bettered your life? What goes into your body is important to what quality of life you have. How about shopping for items that better your health? GetTheT.com is that shopping place. We're not only tea, even though that's our #1 seller, we are about helping your health. There's Colostrum LD for those of you with autoimmune troubles. The product helps your stomach get on track. GI problems produce pain. Get relief with Colostrum LD. How about some fat burners? Or maybe some joint aid? Or a power cleanse? There's so much to tell you with very little time. So get help health-wise at GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Or you can call our friendly operators at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. Get help and relief by going shopping. Shop at GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Serving people with great products for over 8 years. GetTheT.com.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you. And your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
Hello, Fadernauts. Are you looking for the ultimate Bluetooth speaker system? Well, check this out. The Studio Dome surround sound system, featuring the Studio Dome 1 SD1 and the Studio Boombox SBB wireless Bluetooth speakers, is the perfect way to get surround sound without all of the cable headaches. With its own hard shell custom carrying case for taking your surround sound experience on the go. Each hard shell case comes packed with an SBB, 2 SD1s, cables, and power. It's just $99. And you use the promo code Jimmy, and you get yourself some free shipping. Once again, Studio Dome brings you the best deal on the net. Anywhere. Just go to the Studio Dome banner, JimmyChurchRadio.com, promo code Jimmy. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right. Welcome back, Fade to Black. Bespoke Radio for the masses. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, very special guest Laura Eisenhower is with us. Tomorrow night, live from London, England, Nick Jankel is here. Then on Wednesday, Steve and Don Hess and Ron Felber right here on Fade to Black. But tonight, it's all about Laura Eisenhower. Laura, you and I were talking. I want the audience to understand how they can maybe relate to what you and I are talking about right now. Even in our little alternative community that you and I run around in, our friends that we hang out with and talk to, we have our differences and negativity that is out there. And you and I know, all these, and we know that they're all cool, really cool people. But even that negativity is there to bring us down. The man or whoever it is not playing. This negativity is real. And to divide and conquer us, they win. To divide and conquer this audience, they win. That negativity is real, and it's something that we have to deal with every single day.
Yes. And so when you were talking before about, if we have flowers coming out of our pockets and it's all sweet and everything like that. I mean, where don't we learn from the negative? And if we don't begin to, and if we don't look at it, and if we don't step back, that is where we're compromised. So if we're dealing with not all our strands of DNA being turned on, the parts that need to be turned on relate to our chakra system, which means that we have to get out of our lower chakras, our lower ego, the part of us that's in competition, the part of us that, is really out for the self. I mean, then in a way, we're enabling the agendas, the service to self beings. And so no matter how much people understand conspiracy and how much, stuff that they, speak about philosophically, or, how it connects to our galactic or ancient history, or anything, related to politics or spirituality, whether it's new agey or traditional, it's ridiculous to go head to head on this stuff when the highest spiritual expression really is unity and love and respect towards each other, and being more mature with the way that we carry our energy, because we're not going to get anywhere if we don't begin to work together. And I love Corey Good's term, unity and community.
Right.
And it's perfect. I mean, of course, that's why the word community has the word unity in it. And he's really, he amazes me, and he's got just such a, positive message, but he reveals everything that, we need to know. So, what he's been saying and putting out there is unity in the community. And so I think everybody really needs to just have that as a mantra, because when we go to these events, or when we, mingle outside of it, the most important thing that we can do is to understand that oneness is diversity and harmony. We don't all have to think the same way for us to make progress. The best way to make progress is to just be a part of the conversation together, and, really just, have the open discussion so that we can, share what our observations are, and also, where change is needed. And the foundation of where that needs to start is in the way that we treat each other and relate to each other. And I think that's the most important thing that we could be paying attention to right now.
And you also, I want to go back to what we were talking about before the break too, if you don't mind, is it's easy. And I say this all the time. It's easy to do the wrong thing. That's the easy road. Right? That's easy. That's it. That's the easy road. The hard thing is to do the right thing. And all day long, we're challenged with the fork in the road, right? It could be anything. It could be speeding in your car, right? Oh, that's the easy thing. The hard thing to do is to not break the law, right? And to do the speed limit. But that we are challenged with those all day long, and we know right from wrong. We do. We know the yes and the no answer. Which way do you need to go? And too often we go the easy road. If you go the hard road and you go the right path, then you don't have to answer for things in the future, because you did the right thing. It was harder. It's little things. Getting up and being late to work every single day is easy. The hard thing is to get up on time and be there on time and do the right thing, right? Why is it that we're so susceptible to the negative, to the wrong road, to take the left turn instead of the right turn?
You ask great questions. The way I see it is, we're in a false system, and there's laws and there's rules that don't exactly make sense to our organic nature. But then there's certain things that are important, that will help refine us and help us to be healthier and better people. But when we're dealing with, something where deep down we know something's not quite right, like religion seems like a healthy path, but then we know that there's something behind the scenes that is pretty dark because of infiltration. Same thing with politics and government. Same thing with, dealing with, the police force that might have corruption or unfairness or, laws that don't make sense. So, I think we have a sensitivity to that. And so there's a part of us that wants to rebel and really listen to our own truth. And so we get caught in the middle where, in our act of rebellion, we start to do things that are out of integrity. But if we look at it like we're kind of deconstructing to reconstruct on our own terms, and we have something to look forward to that's actually going to feel really good for us, then we're in much better shape. And so I think, yes, speeding wouldn't be good. Harming somebody else, is not a good thing, or doing anything that compromises somebody else's free will, being controlling and an egomaniac, not being good to ourselves and getting caught up in addictions. Yes, and there's ramifications, but there's also things in society that rewards that behavior. And so it's a little bit hypocritical to be in a world that promotes something that you get in trouble for. And so I feel like, it just makes it really hard to be human because of that. But I think if we were to step back and shut off the TV and close off the computers at night, and we don't have those frequencies coming at us all the time that addict us to the matrix, or that feeling of needing to rebel and needing to take the easy route, which is to reject it all, we can find a balance. Because if we look at it, everything is about polarization, and that's where they're able to feed on us. It's either we're, repressing something because of some kind of strictness or some sort of law or religion, or we're rebelling against it, or, and then we see sort of hedonism or, lawbreakers or people that don't care how they treat others because they're having a reaction. And as long as we're choosing one side or the other, or one extreme or the other, we're not in balance. So I think the most important thing, and it is super hard, it's hard to, follow the rules, and it's hard to rebel for too long without having ramifications. But if we can find that middle ground and understand integrity and understand our heart and understand the importance of treating others with love and respect and treating the body as a temple and taking care of it and really connecting with our passions and our dreams, then, we can still walk a path that's righteous and that is, sort of in enough of a structure to not get in trouble, but we're also free enough to not be, locked into the matrix on a level that, is unhealthy. Because I feel like the matrix has both, because we're dealing with Luciferianism and we're dealing with a lot of dark energies that are running the show, but we're also dealing with a lot of good forces that are trying to keep us in line. But we got to just step back and say, all right, well, who am I in all of this? I think deep down, most people want to be good people, but it's easy after you watch a violent movie, or if you were raised on TV, to snap at somebody or be angry at somebody, or to emulate the characters that you've been watching if you're not a conscious being.
Right.
So I think the whole process of waking up is to understand the game being played, but also to devote to, a path of integrity. Now, people are going to get turned off if you say the word God or spirituality even. And so we have to, understand how damaged some of these words are too. But I think it comes down to the individual, and that we manifest different life events to give us the wake-up call we need. And sometimes it means playing the game, but still being free. And sometimes it means maybe, the opposite. It depends on where we are in our soul growth. But the easy way, if we connect with the heart, we'll find that what seems to be hard isn't so hard, because the easy way is going to start to feel really rewarding in our body. And it's the very force that will heal us and help us to regenerate. And when we start to see the indications of that without relying on medicines or escapism tactics, and we see the body saying thank you by, being able to bounce back from all sorts of things like depression or illness, I think we'll start to feel more inspired and more able to walk a righteous path without being controlled or without, rebelling to the point of injury.
We all, and yourself included, we all went through a phase growing up. We all do it. Kids do it. We do it. We rebel. We go out. We have fun, or we think we're having fun. And for some, it lasts longer than others. I have friends that are 50 that are still rebelling, right? But for you, you went through that, and then something happened. What was that? Take me to that moment.
Yeah, I was definitely rebellious. I just realized I let everything hurt me too much, and that I took everything too personally. The attacks, just the way my family was addressing the things that I was trying to express, the way, friends and people treated me at school for my far out sort of ideas. And I kind of let myself be a bit crushed. And then, but I wanted to live a very pure path. I mean, I've always, felt it really important. And then I just cracked one day, and it was, just in my high school years and when I was a teenager. And I went sort of the route of being somewhat self-destructive. And what snapped me out is actually going into the wilderness and understanding the will of the human spirit, and how amazing things are when you're in a group and and there's harmony, when people work together and when people are really good to each other, because you would also see what happens when there's discord or when somebody's being selfish. There are immediate ramifications, like that person, might get taken out or not able to stay because they weren't willing to learn and grow. And I just got so fascinated learning about energy. I fell so deeply in love, and I always was a nature kid, but just this great respect for nature and just the lessons and just the beauty and the connection we all have with nature, that I realized that we're all connected to this, and I'm worth treating myself well, and that Mother Earth loves me, and I just felt nurtured and I felt taken care of, and I always knew I had a mission, but it helped me to get out of the lost part of myself, because I was somewhat fragmented, where I always knew I was on a mission and I always understood it, but I let layers of me kind of fall into the trap of just being in a lot of misery, pain, or rebellion, or partying too much and just wanting to kind of escape it all. But when I spend enough time in nature, I'm not saying everybody needs to do this, but just even sitting next to a tree or just going to a botanical garden, and just when I worked at plant nurseries and I did landscaping too, it was just the energy of the plants and the flowers and just being close to the land and just hearing, what it was communicating to me. I found my self-love again. And I was like, I don't need to, be this rebellious or be this wild about everything. And I also, respect and understand the need to refine one's character. And then I have a lot of compassion and respect for people that are caught up in things, that might not be healthy or might be based in a programming, because you can always reach a person's heart and soul if you talk to that part of them and you bypass the programmings and the judgments. And then it's just like the lights just turned on. And just the people that I meet, and just noticing that, going from like 2 friends to joining Facebook and finding people of like mind and people that are on the same path, it was just like, wow. And then, of course, having children really had a huge impact on me. I was like, wow, 2 beings, they're twins, like love me enough to be inside of me. I'm like, wow, okay, all right. I better step up to the plate and learn how to be human here, and learn how to really become responsible and able to cope here. And no matter how alternative my views are or how out there I am, I make sense to this planetary body and something that's multidimensional, and I need to treat it with a lot more respect, even if it doesn't make sense to everybody or anybody. And now it does, which is completely surreal that, I'm able to even share.
Right. And you do that too, by the way. And if you don't follow Laura on Facebook, you should, because her comments every day, I look forward to them. They're always pretty positive, considering there's a lot of negative out there. And I wanted to share this with you. Check this out about what you're talking about. This past weekend, we went up to a conference up in Big Bear, Rita and I, and we had to do our stuff up there. And so anyway, here on a daily basis, doing not only this show, but Coast to Coast and other things that we're involved in, every day, it's my job to, report the news and to look into what's going on out there. And I'm so connected and plugged in every single day. It's what I do. And then we went up to Big Bear, and something strange happened, Laura. We had shoddy internet. Right? Mm-hmm. And so we didn't, it took too long to, let me cut to the chase. It wasn't worth messing with the internet on our cell phones. It took too long. So suddenly I wasn't dealing with that from day one, minute one, once we got there. Our TV in our hotel room, which was a nice big 70-inch flat screen, never turned it on for 4 days. I didn't, and suddenly you're out there, nature, the fresh air, the people, the food, and other things going on. I found myself, we didn't watch TV for 4 days. I wasn't on, Twitter, Facebook, the internet, our website, news, CNN, International Business Times, RT, whatever. It didn't matter. None of it. We completely unplugged. And I get back here after 4 days of that, and I realize something. It didn't matter. It just didn't matter. Life goes on. You can actually not worry about the fear porn that is jammed down your throats 24 hours a day on 20 different news networks and 300 cable channels and 10,000 websites. it was an amazing experience. It was enlightening. And I just couldn't believe how good I felt, you know, and you get stuck in that matrix, that trap, that treadmill every single day, and you're bombarded with it, and your brain is affected by it. And it was a tremendous experience and realization. Just like you said, we came back and, it was, Rita and I walking around and talking and smelling air and doing everything but everything that we normally did. And you know what? We didn't die. We didn't die. Do you understand? It was
completely.
It was amazing to go through.
Yes. Yeah, it's incredible to give oneself that opportunity. And if I hadn't given myself years of it, it would have been very difficult to even be here. Because you either get really sucked in. And I noticed that programming when I was a kid, and that's kind of what woke me up to my mission. But I mean, doing the kind of work we do, it's like we're so busy trying to, share information or see what's going on in order to help the collective that even that, we need a break from. You know, and again, it's that balancing act.
Right. And that's exactly what I'm referring to. We didn't do the show for 4 days.
Wow.
Now, okay. Now we're going to head into a break, and I want to talk about the 3D time loop, and I also want to talk a little bit about what you're going to present at the expo too as well. We have other stuff to get to, but what is a 3D time loop?
Should I answer that now?
Yes, we've got 8 minutes.
Well, we're not on a 3D planet in the way that I feel that people express a lot, like, oh, this 3D world, this 3D existence, and we're 3D beings. And it's like, yes, to a certain degree, but at the same time, we're limited to that because of the belief systems. And, belief systems, there's many, there's a lot of diversity connected to it, but pretty much most of them that run rampant on the planet cause us to bump our head and sort of like go on the hamster wheel to kind of repeat a pattern that we might not even recognize that we're repeating. Now we can look at it like, when we, pass over or transition, we reincarnate immediately. And that's part of the ET agendas that we're just sort of stuck on this time loop. And yes, the last 26,000 years, we've been, in this process of getting back into alignment, almost like a cosmic catastrophe that we've been in physical therapy, healing from because of all the cataclysms that happen on the planet and the frequency that's changed on the planet. And now we're in alignment with the galactic plane. Now we're in this incredible window period where it's going to be much easier to move on. Now, it doesn't mean that every soul is going to be ready to, but in order to free ourselves, which we've been able to do in the past, but we might have needed to reincarnate again. It depends who you are, because I'm not going to create generalizations because I don't have the proof. But what I do know is, we come from all over, and we have our agreements and our contracts. But for the most part, we've been reincarnating here quite a bit if we've made an agreement to assist in this particular organic ascension timeline, maybe sometimes not always being conscious of it. So when we gain enough experience of the tree of knowledge, I guess you could say, or the duality of good and evil, and we start to integrate the light and dark, the masculine and feminine, and all these different polarities, we end up aligning ourselves with a higher force that allows the physical human vessel to upgrade itself to begin to experience dimensions beyond the 3D, because this is actually a 13-dimensional planet. It was seeded that way, and but it's been in a progression ever since the higher advanced civilizations collapsed. So I'll just kind of leave it at that if the timing is such.
No, we're good. We're good. Actually, I want you to continue. What was the last civilization that collapsed when they were in possession of this knowledge?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, we were once in a completely different experience where we didn't have as many planets as we have. We were in a fourth, fifth, sixth dimensional energy, which I and others have called Tara, where the planet Tiamat was, which exploded, and that formed the asteroid belt in the 5D universe. And the original Atlantis and Lemuria, I guess you could say, was here, and it's sort of like the right and left brain. And we're dealing with the free will universe, and in a free will universe, the masculine and feminine differentiated, which created a bit of a rip, I guess you could say, which allowed a lot of negative forces to come in, and artificial intelligence. So when we're not in balance, it's very easy for us to be susceptible to things like artificial intelligence. And so when we came into this particular density and we collapsed in, we are also dealing with advanced civilization that that ended up going underground because there were cataclysms here with the root races, Lemuria, Atlantis, and even Hyperborea. And that's why there's so many different subterranean Earth civilizations. And then, there's new seeding of the human races that have been manipulated and genetically modified, or there's been, some level of sort of downloading this aggression of these darker entities into us that have made us, the way we are now, which we can easily purify if we make the choice to purify. And that's how we're going to release ourselves from the time loop. But if we're talking 3D, then we're talking our 3 lower chakras. There's a progression, moving into the 4th, but the 4th can connect with astral entities. We have to be very careful. So we want to integrate the higher heart, which is past the 7th chakra, going into 7, 8, and 9, which connects to, we go from, all these different earth energies, which is in our DNA and in our chakra system. So we have different, we are an exact replica of the whole of creation. So our limitation is based on the limits of what we're allowing ourselves to experience based on these programmings. So when we move into 4, 5, and 6, and we relive the Tara energies, we're ready for the alchemy, which brings us into 6, 7, 8, which takes us into the monadic integration, which brings us into the Haros Gamos, which is the perfect balance of the masculine and feminine, which brings in the Christ consciousness, which allows us to fully turn on our 12-strand DNA. Now, as long as we're in 3D mindsets, we're going to be looping in sort of this lower chakra energy that the Matrix wants us to addict us to, whether we're in survival or we're enabling dark agendas by just buying into the greed or status or the need for money as a currency instead of abundance and love and unity as the currency, which will allow the universe to meet our needs because we're in a world that's incredibly magical that we're connected with. But we have to be able to perceive these other dimensional energies of ourselves. And when we can do that, we start to recognize these higher beings, which are a part of who we are. The reason they're not going to save us is because we need to step up to the plate. And I compare it a lot to the immune system. It's not going to do the work for us unless we're willing to change our diet, our health, our belief systems. And it's going to sit there waiting for us to take that step. And so, there's things that are going to remind us and encourage us. And that's why the assistance that's here right now is working on that. But we have to know the game being played. We have to bust the imposter. We have to get the divorce from the dark energies that are not the true parent, in order to have true love, which is our connection with the elements, our connection with spirit, and our connection with the authenticity of each other on a high vibrational level, and that's how we're going to help each other deprogram.
Is there a way to balance, not call it greed, but it's okay to want nicer shoes, right?
Yeah,
I like nicer shoes.
Yeah, that's a little different.
Yeah. So when you're talking about greed, I mean, it's okay to want a better job. It's okay to want a nicer house for your kids and for you. And,
yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
I would say, greed would be things at the expense of others, exploiting, using somebody's vulnerability for your own gain. But if you do something with integrity and you have abundance and you have a lot of nice things, that's great. And if you understand, what it means to, be compassionate and giving to those in need and you're always being supplied with abundance, then that's a perfect relationship. If, you were lacking in a past life and in this lifetime you're going to gain a lot, but you're not hurting or exploiting others, so be it. We have to understand that service to others doesn't mean negation of self. We can serve ourselves and really be of service to others. But there's got to be, a balance or at least the understanding that you don't harm somebody to gain. You have to treat others the way you want to be treated yourself. And no matter how much you gain, it doesn't matter as long as you hold that truth within you. And we go through whatever lessons we need to return to that. Sometimes people go without and experience lack to wake up to it. Some people have tremendous abundance and something reminds them to maybe give back a little. But, everybody's on their own soul journey and have their own agreement. So it's really between them and the creator and their own ego. The best we can do, though, is be a resource of inspiration and be an example, without doing the same thing we've seen in our history, which is, telling others what to do and how to do it.
You should run for office. Ooh, I said it. Laura Eisenhower is our guest tonight. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Bespoke Radio for the Masses. She's going to be at the Conscious Life Expo all weekend. ConsciousLifeExpo.com. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. I'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth, and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air, to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall, and it's out of here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you and Hillary for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With a mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Laura Eisenhower is with us. Tomorrow night, live from London, England, Nick Jankel will be with us. And then Wednesday night, Steve and Don Hess, along with Ron Felber and the Mojave incident. Laura, when we talk about the Matrix, and you refer to it not only to your friends and your clients, and you refer to this, and somebody says, you know what, come on, Laura, you're pushing it. It's not real. And you need to turn around and set somebody straight. How would you have them find the Matrix or recognize this is what's going on?
Yeah, well, I'm so used to this that, I got really... I mean, it was like fine to be ostracized and to have everybody just think I was a freak. And I got really used to it that I'm more amazed at the good conversations in the where the relatability is, where I got way more used to, people kind of rolling their eyes or just like, come on, Laura, already. Because I've been talking about this stuff, for as long as I can remember, but I didn't have all the terminology. Right. But I was talking about this shift time, in the early 90s and 80s and, just all the stuff that I was aware of as a kid. And so, I realized, and I mentioned this earlier, when I really took it personally and I let it get to me, it really made people even a little weirder around me because they didn't know what to do because they could tell that I was hurting or I was in pain or I was starting to just really get frustrated. And it was sort of like actually empowering them. Like, yeah, she is screwed up. Look, you know, she's obviously depressed or something's not right here. And I'm a very positive person. So, you know, I could snap myself out of it and not always be in that zone, but it was very easy to kind of enter that place. And even, you know, I try and not go there now. But it doesn't last very long. It's a catalyst. It's something I work with as a tool. So when I started to get used to having a voice, and it just became easier when I come across somebody's resistances, and I can't really escape them because they might be sitting at a table with me or at a family gathering. I look for the part of them that's having a really tough time. So if you can sense that somebody hates their job, it's great to talk to them about the programming in the matrix connected to doing what you don't really want to be doing and how to break free of that. If you see somebody who is in an unhappy relationship, it's a perfect opportunity to talk about sacred union. But if you try and talk to somebody that's already doing fine in their programming and they're in their eyes thriving, because I hate to call it false light, but there's a lot that feeds a light that isn't exactly organic when, you know, your status or your money is in good shape, even if you're doing something that doesn't help the planet and in actual fact could hurt the planet.
Right.
Because I think people that, you know, do well and have a lot of light that are, you know, making money and doing something that is feeding the planet, you can feel something deeper. You can feel like a more authentic light in them. So what I do is I, you know, because I'm a reader and I'm used to, you know, being able to tap into energies, I'm very ethical and I don't just jump into people's space and try and read them unless I have permission. So if they're approaching me and they've got questions and they want to sort of undermine my information, I kind of get a sense of where they're at, and I go to that place in them that I can tell is struggling, and I help to empower that part of them and help them to see through, you know, the crap. Like if a person has physical symptoms, it might be easier to talk to them about chemtrails or GMOs. If, like I said, if they're having relationship issues and they can't put their finger on it, you know, well, you know, what is sacred union and what does it mean to love the self and bring balance to the self, and how we've been kept from that, and how there's so much programming, you know, from the get-go when we're, you know, kids and we look at our culture. And so I have found that I get a lot further with people when I'm already relating to something that they're having a hard time with versus trying to wake somebody up or open themselves to something that they don't feel like they're struggling with. And also, if you start to notice, and this is what I do, if I start to notice it becomes negative or it becomes a battle, I drop it real quick and I go back into the heart, and I just empower the heart connection so that the vibration stays high, so that it's not a mental war, because I'll just give that person respect. I'm like, okay, this is where they are, and that's totally fine. But the best approach from that point forward is to increase the love vibration and to increase the bond. It's kind of like when you give a massage, you're not going to go right into deep tissue. You got to warm it up. So maybe the next conversation, because we have a good rapport, they're going to be a little bit more open. And we also have to understand that we're planting seeds. We're not going to be able to say it all at once, but if you say enough and then you let it go, they might come back, or you know, after a year, they might say, oh, okay, that information has found me again and again, because there's something in them that's now looking out for it. So you can't have huge expectations that people are going to get it right away. I have a lot of people apologizing me for what they've said to me and what they've done years ago when they first heard me, you know, for the way they treated me. And I'm like, hey, I get it. It's okay.
Wouldn't it be faster to just give them a swift crack upside the head?
Yeah, sometimes, you know, and I had to let go of that. It's just like, you know, especially when you know that it's going to impact things for the better. It's like the urgency is there. It's just like, come on, please. It's like sometimes I just want to fall on my hands and knees, just like, come on.
Right.
And so it's a discipline.
it you know, a faster way to the heart, a little, you know, just wake up and listen. Don't fight. And what do you do? I know you've got, you know, friends and family and clients that do resist, and no matter what, even time. And what do you do with that? Do you just have to put them to pasture and just let them go and let them, you know, self-destruct on their own?
Well, kind of like you said, you know, I mean, there is times where you just really got to lay it out.
Right.
And I think the best thing we can do is just navigate to the best of our ability. When we feel called to really hit the points home, we're going to. If we feel like we went too far, we can step back and self-correct. But, you know, we got to just be ourselves, and we can always modify it or, you know, make amends or find a better approach later on, because each person's different. It's important to understand, it's better to be kind of a chameleon and approach somebody kind of like learning styles, which they don't do in school. Everybody's sort of treated the same, or else you're put on, meds, and everybody learns differently, and they need to be respected for that, the children. And now we're at adults, and so things have really stuck. It's harder to shift a belief system when you're a grown up. So I just approach everybody differently. When it comes to family, that's been really hard, but I guess I forgot to finish my point because I kind of went off on something else. But
have you ever thought about switching to decaf?
I didn't drink any coffee today. Oh, actually, earlier in the morning. When I started to thrive, when my family started to see that I was doing well,
right,
they started to take me more seriously. It's when we take it too personally and we allow ourselves to suffer. We actually empower the ones that like to call us crazy. And so if we start to feel beaten down by that, then in a way, we're still giving them permission to see us as such. So when I started to thrive and do better and just live my life, whether they believe what I have to say or not, or trust, my experiences, when they saw me thriving and doing better, they started to take me more seriously. When my family saw that I was raising kids by myself, twins, and that I had done this wilderness stuff, they were like, okay, wow, maybe we were projecting. But as long as I let it get to me and I let the opposition or the lack of understanding get to me, in a way, it allowed them to continue to turn the other way. And now you wouldn't believe how much family support I have.
Exactly. And isn't it fascinating how when somebody is trying to be negative, I'm verbally towards you or attack, it doesn't have to be you. I'm saying anybody in the audience. When they are doing that, they're trying to empower themselves by bringing you down. That's all that is happening, and they need to recognize that. I mean, from the word go.
Definitely. And it's not, our outer world does reflect aspects of our inner world, but at the same time, people should know better. It's not okay to, feed on, somebody's wounds or this or that. But in a hostile world like we're in, where there's these programmings, and I joke, and I'm sure people have heard me say this before, and I'm not trying to use weird languaging, but I consider this a boot camp to become like a real bitch and to be real strong and to be really, in one's power, but not in a way where you're inflating your ego, but you're protecting yourself and you're standing in your truth and you're not letting anybody take it away. And you don't need to confuse kindness for being a spiritual being, because some people really don't deserve your energy if they're going to mistreat you. And it's really hard when you're born with a huge heart, and a lot of us are, to kind of learn boundaries or how to say it like it is. But, it's better than being the people pleaser or sugarcoating things. And I think we're at a time right now where it's really important we say things like they are, but there's a few things that we can remember to soften the battle and to also let ourselves be the example, because when they see us thrive, it's going to help them drop their programming, because they're going to see us operating from something that's different than what they might be accustomed to. And whatever they're suffering about or whatever's trying to cry out that they're afraid to speak up about, you set them free. Because most people are actually trapped on the inside and they're screaming to break free and to be authentic and to be a sovereign being. But as long as their ego has the upper hand and they're making you feel bad, you're in a way enabling them staying stuck. And so being bold but still compassionate is where it's at, I've learned.
You have the same challenge with children, too, your own children. That exactly what you're saying right there is the advice that you have to give to your own children, but you can't use it in that being that complex. Have you learned from that, too, to communicate with others?
Yeah. I mean, keeping it simple is important. And very often when I do events, it's like, I share really complex information, but I like to simplify it. It's kind of like, here's the biology of the flower and here's the flower. And this is the beauty of it. This is the fragrance. This is how it grows. And this is, what it's destined to become, and that's why I love, nature and simple metaphors. We can get real complex. We are in this process regaining knowledge and discovering truth. And so it is going to be a little heady, but it's not meant to be a polarized sort of mental energy, which is the threat of transhumanism in this sort of computer world where they're trying to separate us from our soul and separate us from our intuition and feeling body. So if we can approach individuals where we're using our intelligence, but we're staying connected to our heart, then in a way we're actually integrating energies within ourselves, and the healing goes both ways. And so with my kids and the way I approach people, it's like, I'll share information, but I got to stay in my heart. When I talk to my kids, I got to remember that they're guiding, they're going to lead. But at the same time, I'm here to protect them from danger and to, pass on, practical advice because I've lived, and seen things, but they need to be empowered. And this is how we drop the old paradigm. We don't have to go save the world. We need to change the programmings and the patterns that have been passed down to us. And we each need to take it upon ourselves on an individual level for it to ripple out and for the unity to start to catch on. Because if we keep thinking we have to battle or save the world or fight the system, we forget about the things close to home and we forget about ourselves, which is where the real work happens as far as I'm concerned.
Do you at the top of the hour, can we take some calls? Are you down for that?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to warn everybody now, top of the hour, get ready, and we'll take some calls with Laura. Do you help me out here? Do you straighten yourself out with your chakras and everything that's when something's do you lay down and place crystals on your body? Are you charging crystals? Do you have crystals in alignment at your house?
Well, I'm moving right now, and sometimes I'm not the most disciplined person. I have a lot of crystals and stones, and I have put them on my, sometimes I go to sleep with things in my hands and things on my body, and then I wake up and they're, one stuck to my head, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. And a lot of times it's like, okay, I got to prepare for this particular night. I think sound healing music's really good too, and I should definitely listen to more of that before I go to bed. But yes, I have a lot of, crystals, stones, and I love, plants. I'm going to be moving to a place where going to be in more nature, which is going to help. But I do tarot. I've been doing tarot for 20 something years, and I probably shuffle on average 10 to 30 times a day. And I know that sounds extreme. Probably people don't work with tarot the way I do, and probably people won't understand why I work with it the way that I do. And it's not about manipulating anything or the future. It's about clearing energies. It's about understanding what's coming from me and what's coming outside of me so that I can shift things for the better, because the intention that I hold is for the greater good of myself and others in the planet. And I've been working global energy since I was, almost 20 or so, and maybe, using a tool like that. And so I do that every day, and that always helps me to see, is there something in me that I need to yank out and transmute? Or is there something coming at me that I need to, protect myself from? And then, I do this for others because I've just been doing it so long that people suggest, hey, you should do this and get donations, which was hard at first. And then astrology, I check out that. So a combination between things like essential oils, eating really well, working with crystals and stones, and getting exercise when I can, I try and do. But, I do have, and I'm going to be honest, it's not easy being human. And, sometimes I find just being in a fetal position and laying in bed is a good meditation for me and just not doing anything.
Right.
Because, like vitamins, sometimes if you rely on too many tools, you forget how to activate certain things within yourself. So I kind of like to go back and forth so that I can activate these things without having to reach for something.
Well, yeah, the vitamins get rid of my guilt of hitting a taco truck once a day. Yeah, you're absolutely right with that. You made me want to go somewhere, and I forgot what. Okay, you know what? Let's do this before we run out of time. Your presentation at the Expo. What are you going to be speaking about?
Okay, well, my first talk is Saturday, February 20th at 6:00, and it's called Ascension Keys, and I'm talking about the 13th gate and what that means, how it connects to the galactic zodiac, and also our DNA and our chakra system. I'll be talking about earth grids, higher earth dimensions, sacred geometry, alchemy, organic ascension, and things like artificial intelligence and transhumanism, and the astrological alignments that have been playing out, so that we can really move away from artificial intelligence and understand, the agendas that might sound good and might sound promising, but, actually, could be a trap. And so, what can we align with to protect us, and what is available to us on a cosmic level that will kind of take the pressure off if we can just get out of our own way. And then, on Saturday, I'm going to be doing an online event with Portal to Ascension. I'll be sharing links about it on Facebook. It's a 3-hour event, which is going to be really awesome. And I'll be talking about, similar things, but I'm going to be going a little bit, deeper into some origins of the mind control and how that relates to, the Mars recruitment and, things about our multidimensional body and Gaia and, the energies of Sophia and timelines and things that are going to on a deeper level than my last workshop. And then one more thing, on Monday, I am going to be talking about President Eisenhower and, the warning of the military-industrial complex, things about ET government treaties and where they, originated and what the history is of that. So things about galactic history and government secret knowledge of extraterrestrials, UFOs, and also the manipulations that they've been under that have made it complicated on so many levels for us to, change our political structure or our governmental structure. I'll shed light on the ET presence, and I'll be bringing in a little bit of Corey Good's information. I'll talk about EBEs and the potential that we could digress into EBE form if we don't wake up and, understand what's going on, and also the significance of the shift time. I'll talk about Stargates, our DNA potential, and but if you can't come to the event, I recommend checking out the online event on Saturday. And like I said, I'll post about that. So it's going to be a pretty packed weekend, whether you come to the event, which I hope you do, or check me out online for a 3-hour event that's going to pretty much cover all bases and deeper territory than I've shared in pretty much any presentation.
And you're going to be live with us Friday night on Fade to Black.
Yay. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be totally cool. And before we head to this break, one of the things that I get hit with all the time, and I'm sure you do too, I can't wait to hear your answer on this. When somebody says, how could they keep this kind of agenda secret for so long? And my answer is, it's because they have to. And if you don't think they can keep a secret, trust me, you're wrong. Everything, their very existence is based on secrecy. And
Absolutely.
That is it. Yes. And are you going to talk about that?
Oh gosh, that's a huge theme, and that's something I completely pay attention to. And another thing in the online event is polarity integration, because, as long as we're polarized, it's very easy for those secrets to be kept. I mean, just think about people that stay married to somebody that's betraying them or cheating on them. You can see the signs and you can be in denial. And that's kind of what we've been dealing with. But sometimes everything under the sun is done, to cover up, just to keep the status quo. And so secrecy has been huge, but we have to understand that we're born with amnesia. We're born being placed in front of the TV and going right into the school systems where we trust, or, people that feel good about it. Not all of us do. They listen to what the teachers say. They listen to what the system is saying. They cast their vote politically, or they come from some ancestral patterning that either affects one on a physical level or, a behavioral level, which obviously is linked. And so, everything's kind of stacked against us the minute we're born. And so I kind of help us unravel that and what the origins are of that and why, there's secrecy and why they're able to keep secrets and what the penalties are. I mean, there's laws that were put in place. When we're talking about 1947, that was a big year for, MJ-12 to state that it's got power over the president. That's when the National Security Act was created. And then later on, there was another law created where you get a $10,000 fine. You're charged with espionage if you speak about UFOs. And so look at, William Cooper, Phil Schneider, and all those that were murdered for speaking, So look at us now, and a lot of us are out there, but the numbers are increasing. Our protection is at an all-time high. And because of this window period, we have to understand that it really is in our hands, and there's not as much that they can do to us. The war has to do with mind control and manipulation through the media and through the news and through all these things that want to capture our imagination so that we enable the very thing that we're trying to wake up from. And that's why we have to be very careful when an event happens in the news. How much energy are we giving it? Are we energizing it? Are we allowing it to spread like a virus where that's all we're thinking about? Because usually that happens when we're about to take a huge leap in consciousness. And so we have to, really understand the game being played. And also I talk about history being rewritten and how it's much better to look at the hidden technologies and the manipulations connected to dark technologies and how old these dark technologies are and how long they've been being used and how history is being rewritten, and maybe to take the emphasis off of trying to solve the wars of the past and to recognize that war is the false flag to keep us conquered and divided. And it's much better to understand the dark technologies and the deeper agendas that relate to secret space programs and off-planet entities, and also things going on within this earth, and with the different mindsets and soul development of each individual. The war is within us now, and we got to make a choice in order to win it. And the more we unify and the more we integrate polarity, the more we can claim victory.
Bingo. And you said fetal position when you need to align and fall asleep. I do the same thing, fetal position, but I listen to Bill Cooper. And then,
Right.
and then I just kind of cruise off into dreamland. Nancy just tweeted a question out to you, Laura, and she says, do you experience energy shifts to a higher vibration? If you do, will this cause a permanent change in requiring less sleep?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, when we, the planet Uranus, which is connected to universal truths, epiphanies, and, waking up and shock that, helps us to connect with the electrical light energy of spirit that stimulates our nervous system, really helps to cleanse our nervous system of artificial intelligence infections. And it's a high vibrational energy. And yeah, sometimes it's harder to sleep, but you want to pay attention, how is the health of your nervous system? Are you feeling grounded or are you feeling agitated? If it's a high vibrational feeling that's keeping you up, that's great. I mean, you can write, you can do something creative. There's certain times where it's good to avoid the astral anyway, and just listen to your body, the rhythm of your body. It knows when to sleep, it knows when to eat, but we gotta, make sure that we're treating the symptoms and we're paying attention to the messages of our body, because that's what physical symptoms are for. We look at it like disease or a problem when actually it's a blessing in disguise because it's got a message.
John wants to know, and then we'll head to a break. John wants to know how you got your middle name, Magdalena.
My father just said, he just could tell I have an affinity with Mary Magdalene, and so he gave me that middle name.
That's it? It was that simple?
Yeah, and I was like, well, he was right on, because ever since I was a little kid, I was really, really strongly connecting to the energy and just the Venus path and the Venus transits and everything connected to awakening the divine feminine power within men and women to bring it into balance with the masculine and connect with Christ consciousness is actually the deeper part of and the foundation of my path. Everything else is connected with that, but the true foundation of my path has to do with the sacred union, the Christ Sophia consciousness. And so it was pretty cool that my father named me that middle name, because I definitely resonate with it.
Yeah, that was a gift for sure. Okay, we have 3 minutes. Ryan wants to know about your take of the pyramids at Giza.
Well, there's a massive, Stargate there, and there's interesting activity that's associated with that area. So, give me a specific question.
Well, that is his that is his specific question. But I guess he's probably referring to more about where they came from and who built them.
Well, I mean, definitely some ET involvement was there. Actually, the Mother Arc, the 13th gate, which I'll be talking about in my presentations, which is a magnetic aqua flame energy, ignites the Giza pyramid and the related circuitry system, which has to do with the ley lines. And it's also connected to Uluru, which is in Australia. And when the Egyptian-Syrian invasion happened, a lot of this stuff went offline, I guess you could say. The disconnection happened. Our memories got wiped. And that Stargate's been very compromised. And this is a shift time that's reactivating it. And it has a lot to do with the feminine. And when I say the feminine, I'm not trying to confuse people with some, feminine figure or something that has to do with, the feminine, taking over, but it has to do with the Gaia matrix and the circuitry of the planetary body and her natural stargates. And there's been technologies put in place that have affected places like the Giza pyramid in order for our DNA to disconnect from nature and to also compromise the ascension period. So most of what we've been dealing with as far as artificial timelines or attempts to put us on an artificial timeline, this particular period, which is called the stellar activation cycle, sort of like a showdown time of, okay, what are we going to connect with? Because we can get that activation and we can advance ourselves greatly. But that pyramid energy, I would say, is healing. And I would say it relates to, the Egyptian culture, when we look at maybe the Ennead, but there's a lot of false channelings that we have to watch out for. But it also has to do with, some of the angelic lines, some of the higher DNA expressions that we were able to have before a lot of that got unplugged. And there's something called the Nephilim reversal grid that was put underneath Stonehenge, which has affected the masculine and feminine from being able to unify. And so this 13th gate activation of Giza is actually helping the feminine part of it, which connects the Albion body with the Cathar body, which is a whole nother thing.
Wow, that's interesting. This is Fade to Black. Laura Eisenhower. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Laura. We're going to take your calls. Get in line right after the break. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
Why do people order Life Change Tea? Because Life Change Tea helps the digestive system. Life Change Tea helps the colon unclog. The tea also helps with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and many, many other health issues. Life Change Tea also tastes great. And Life Change Tea is not just green tea. Life Change Tea is a unique blend of 8 different herbs that go to town, cleaning your body of harmful toxins, bacteria, and parasites. Our tea is number 1. Are you ready for your life change? Let the tea help you. Log on to our online store of helpful products to get your body on track. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Or you can call us at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. Not all tea is equal. Read our website of all the factual testimonies that prove that Life Change Tea is working. Health is important, and our quality of life is very important. Don't wait to order. Expect a life change with Life Change Tea at getthetea.com.
Hi, I'm Richard Dolan. When I'm not hosting my radio program, The Richard Dolan Show on KGRA, or writing new books on UFOs, I run a publishing company. I'm proud to say that Richard Dolan Press has published some of the most fascinating books available on UFOs and related subjects. They include Dr. Bruce Maccabee's classic analysis of the UFO cover-up, David Marler's breakthrough book on triangular UFOs, Dr. Richard Sauter's unique work on underground bases, and other classics by Grant Cameron, Chase Kletsky, and Dr. Bob Wood, not to mention intriguing works by Eve Lorgan and Laurie MacDonald that deal with truly bizarre phenomena. I'm proud to publish such high quality and original works, and there are several amazing books about to be released over the next few months. Go to richarddolanpress.com to learn more.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. This is Bespoke Radio for the masses on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I want to remind everybody that Laura will be speaking at the Conscious Life Expo, technically all 3 days, because she will be on Fade to Black on Friday. This coming weekend, all the information you can find right there at jimmychurchradio.com. You can click. If you can't make it, do hook up with the live stream, and we have links for that too over at jimmychurchradio.com. Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Laura Eisenhower.
Hi, Laura. This is Bruce from Connecticut.
Laura? Oh, did we lose Laura? Laura.
Yep, I'm here. I just unmuted. Hi, Bruce.
Okay.
Hi, I've been listening and following you for many, many years. You are so in your zone tonight. It's like an amazing show. I have a question for you. If you were stranded on a desert island and you could only take 5 supplements or superfoods with you, what would you take?
Wow. Gosh, good question. I would probably take some sort of spirulina, chlorella. I would probably take amino acids, minerals.
What about a superfood?
Yeah, well, superfood like, spirulina, any of the green foods, chlorella.
Oh, okay. Okay,
the minerals are really important because they're the building blocks of everything. That's a really good question. I might take B vitamins because particularly B12 you can't get unless you eat a lot of meat, and it's an external source of food. And a lot of the superfoods, are mixtures of different foods that are all put together, like, collard greens, spinach, bok choy, acai, or acai. So, if there was a great superfoods powder, yes. I would say amino acids, and maybe just in case I eat something weird, maybe some extra probiotics.
Thank you for the call, Bruce.
And one more thing, and what tools would you recommend for us to get out of the matrix and kind of move our spirituality forward?
Well, I just wanted to correct something, too, when I mentioned anything about off-planet extraterrestrials. Corey Good talks about a lot of the subterranean civilizations that said that they were gods or said that they were from the stars. And so when we look at our galactic history, we want to, take that into consideration. And, okay, so tools, I just wanted to correct that because, there's a lot to rethink on that level. And there'll be more clarity coming, I'm sure, when I really, delve into that more. So tools, I've always used astrology and tarot, but it's not necessarily needed. Meditation and just really connecting with ourselves and nature is a great tool. Just like supplements, you'd be amazed at how much the body can produce all on its own, just connecting with the sun, connecting with the earth. We have the ability, if you think about a vegetarian or you think about somebody, I've even heard that I've had past lives where I didn't need food or water or anything. I just was sustained by spirit. I'm like, okay, I'll take that one with a grain of salt, but okay. I'm like, I'd like to learn how to do that one again. Tools, we're the greatest tool. We got to really look at ourselves. But, it's good to look at things that help to reflect back to us what energy we're running. And that's why I recommend tarot. I use a circle deck, which is not about the rectangle where it's upright or upside down. It's called the mother piece, and it just allows us, a circle energy, which I think when we work with circles, it's a little bit better. Astrology is a lot to learn, so it might take a person a while they're, trying to learn that tool. So I would say, essential oils really raise the vibration of the body. I would also, say that food and just our thought forms, watch what you say, watch what you energize. If you want to manifest something, what is the quality of your communication? Because our 5th chakra, which relates to communication, if we look at the number 5, it's also connected to alchemy. We can shift things based on what we energize and what we speak into our environment. We have to realize how incredibly powerful we are. And that's why there's mind control. As long as our minds are captured, it's going to change the way we communicate and operate, which really influences our reality. So I would, work with, getting to know yourself really, really well and what your thought forms are and what the words you're speaking, and ask yourself, does it need adjustment? So I think a great tool is writing and purging things out through writing and art. And let me see, another tool, I would say music, singing bowls, tuning forks, things that, can amp your vibration and shift your vibration. Particularly if we're not like on a desert island, we're dealing with a lot of frequency manipulation, and, it's good to, tune things or have things tuned to 528 or 432 hertz. It's good to work with, I got to say Tibetan healing bowls. Dr. Dream is out there selling them, and they have a hugely profound effect. there's all sorts of crystal bowls too, and just tools that will help with frequency, because the highest technologies have to do with frequency, sound, and color, because that's what nature and our bodies have the most resonance with.
Thank you for the call, Bruce, and have a great, safe rest of your evening. Bruce? Okay, I guess he's gone. Hi, you're live. He's probably listening live. Hi, you're live on Faded Black. Say hi to Laura Eisenhower.
Hi, Laura. How you doing? My name's Chris. I'm from New York.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. It's such a pleasure to speak to you. Your energy and your passion is just infectious. I love it. Just two quick things. Number one, I'm fascinated by your Mars recruitment story, and I've been reading a lot, just about anything I can get my hands on. Corey and David and Dr. Sala and all these people have been saying, talk about an awakening. I mean, I feel like I'm just white hot shooting into the stars. I can't believe, how my world has changed in such a short period of time. And I just wanted to know, with your family background especially, when was the first time you realized, what the military-industrial complex was doing and the existence of ETs? And do you ever really think we're going to have disclosure in our lifetime? I mean, with all of it, not just ETs, but, the SSPs and the underground stuff.
Yes. Well, I had a sense of something that was beyond the military-industrial complex at a pretty young age in relation to extraterrestrials. But, that word is a little bit difficult because, we have to also understand future humanoids and time travel and the whole concept of a dying race. And what does that actually mean? I mean, we all have ET genetics. And so in a sense, there's a connection that we all have, but then you've got your subterranean civilizations and we also have a link to this earth. And so it's going to be a mixed bag. So I would say, my Mars recruitment was a big eye opener. I had senses already, and I was in touch with, things that gave me flashes of insight and revelations. But it wasn't until I was, recruited to Mars where I could really feel into the energy that I had a sense that the secret space program or whatever going to Mars meant was something that wasn't what they were presenting to me, because they presented it to me like, oh, it's for your protection. We're going to give you this great leadership position and, all this stuff. They were trying to draw me in, but there were so many red flags. There was no Project Camelot. There was no whistleblowers. There was no interviews like Fade to Black or anything that I had to refer to. And I was really getting in touch with my intuition, and I was saying, this has been infiltrated. Even if it wasn't infiltrated, I have a deep, deep connection with Gaia, and I need to stay on Earth anyway. But, I knew that there was something up. I could tell by the behavior of the person that was trying to pull me into it. I researched all the names connected to it and the connection with MJ-12 and the CIA, and also Alternatives 1, 2, and 3, which was something presented in the Eisenhower administration. And then, the rumors I had heard about ETs and government treaties, I dug deeper into that and started to understand the origins, which actually changed the rumors. The rumors aren't exactly the way it happened, as far as I'm concerned. And so it's good to look at the people that were actually, really on the inside. Corey Good is a really important person to get in touch with his information, because he's a whistleblower of the secret space programs. But when I, before I got in touch with his information and I was putting the dots together later on, when I put the article out there, or when Alfred helped, he conducted the interview and more people that were connected with the Mars agenda showed up, then I got a real big picture. But I would say I've always known there was programming. I always knew that there was something going on, and there was deeper layers of the military industrial complex that are beyond anything that we could even be prepared for. And then, like I said, the Mars recruitment helped open that door. And I was questioning my intuition about it. I was like, okay, something doesn't feel right, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm making a big decision because I'm going to blow the whistle. And, this could potentially assist in taking, us down a timeline that I don't want to be any part of. And I care too much about humanity and too much about this planet. And so I had to take that risk. And then when the information started to come and it really validated that, yes, indeed, the Nazis infiltrated the military industrial complex and the secret space program in terms of the more modern ones, and that the Second World War was not really won. But, it's up to us now to take it upon ourselves to win this war and to unify and to understand the very things that have been targeted. So, yeah, it sort of went in stages, I guess you could say.
Okay, I have a bunch of the lines are open. 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. but I have a bunch of questions lined up. You had said earlier that you shuffle 25 to 50 times a day. Why would that be a big deal?
Okay, well, maybe today was only 5 or 10, but I'll probably shuffle.
Okay.
Well, actually, I muscle test when I shuffle, and for 2 days, my hands have not been able to shuffle. Like, literally, when I shouldn't be shuffling, I can't. Like, my hands won't do it, and I've had people around me that actually see this. Like, I literally cannot shuffle. So if I get, like, a reading and it's fixed, then I won't be able to shuffle. But then if my intuition says, okay, you need to shuffle now, then I shuffle, and sometimes it is, on average, 10 to 50 times a day. Sometimes it's twice a day, but I was giving you averages. And this has been going on for 20-plus years, particularly around the 2012 period, sort of that heightened we're more in a peak time now, I would say. And why does this happen? Well, it's to work global energies, and it's to clear energies. I was really I was writing a book about what I was doing since I was a kid. I was journaling a lot of it. And later on in life, I started to write a book about it. It has a lot to do with clearing wormholes and stargates of inorganic entities, which I wasn't using that terminology. But when I went to a clairvoyant institute and I got in touch with enough readers, they validated that this was what I was doing. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe anybody is saying this, because you just can't say this to people, right? And I was going into the labyrinth, and I was going into, all other dimensions, and I was living this very mythical path that, you only read about, which I didn't even realize was written down, that has to do with this particular archetypal journey that we all take to some degree without maybe realizing it. So I had to shuffle because I didn't have anything to go on. To me, it was like a map and compass in the wilderness of this human experience. And it gave me what I needed to understand the energies around me.
Right.
But now I just shuffle about the state of things on the planet and, where we are as a humanity. And it's really, working global energy. And sometimes I just have to, that's just how I clear energy.
So it's not like some OCD thing.
No, I don't have OCD because if you looked at my bedroom and you looked at the way that, I'm not saying that, I'm in chaos either, but I'm very slack. And, I'm not I like to pump my gas to an even number, but, that's usually because, hey, I got 24 on the spot, or I like the number 13. But,
right.
And if it's like 12:04, I'm like, oh, let's just bump it up to 5, whatever.
Right.
But if I don't, it doesn't matter. Nobody's ever accused me of having OCD. And I'm the kind of person that's allowed myself to go through a Clairvoyant Institute program, to have people really read me. I've worked with shamans and, people, so-called healers and people that have really been able to look deep into me. And not once have I been told that I have anything like that. I joke with myself, like, yeah, this is a little obsessive, but when I step back and ask myself what I'm doing, I'm working global energy, and anybody who's been in my life or been close to me, really does understand, and they've been around me long enough to know exactly what I'm doing, and it actually kind of makes sense to them.
John wants to know if you access the Akashic records.
I kind of avoid that because I just don't channel anything. I know that I probably do unconsciously, but to me, I'm just channeling my higher self or my higher wisdom, or, I work on that direct connection with spirit. I think, I do tap into it when I do readings, but I know there's been a lot of distortions and things that, make me just not, it's like enough people are doing that, and I see too much contradicting energies or information, and maybe I could set the record straight if I had that much confidence in myself.
Right.
But I like working with the tools that I'm working with without directly asking to access the Akashic records, because from what I understand and what my intuition's telling me is that there's distortions there, and there's astral beings that are running it that aren't worth connecting with at this point in time. And I'm not saying that other people aren't legitimately doing it, but there's too many distortions that I just have found a formula that I feel real confident about that I'm sticking to.
Dew Sky wants to know, what do you sing? What song do you sing? What do you like to sing when you feel the need to let it out? And he's being serious.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's a tough one. What do I like to sing? Well, it's funny because the Eisenhower family gatherings, my uncle brings a karaoke machine, and that's funny because you don't see me at karaoke bars. I'm not the most social person. I used to party, so don't get me wrong. But my uncle David, brings a karaoke machine, and we get to pick whatever songs, and we sing them in front of the family. It's very humble. We are not we're not like there's not we're not sitting on trust funds, and these aren't like this Illuminati gathering. It's a very humble, very close knit, very loving family. So it just sort of like is a fun thing we all do. And so I sing Battle of Evermore, Led Zeppelin. Let's see. I might
Shut up! Really?
Yeah, I might sing some King Crimson. I might sing some cheesy 70s love songs, gosh, let's not even begin with some of the ones that I could choose, The Things We Do for Love.
Hey, well, I got to tell you, Battle of Evermore, that's pretty cool. Let's go back.
That's kind of an anthem for me.
Yeah,
so.
It's an anthem for all of us. Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hi, I wanted to ask Laura, what would she recommend for the best psychic self-protection?
Good question. Being grounded is really, really important because there's a lot of reversals. There's a lot of distortions, even the dodecahedron and how it connects to the earth grids and how it connects to our DNA has been put in reversals. The whole mother energy, when it comes to Baphomet and when it comes to dark rituals, have been feeding on the mother, the fragmented mother energy connected to a lot of the cataclysms and exploded planets. And so the most important thing right now is that we ground ourselves. We think sometimes ascension is about floating away or getting the heck out of here, but we have to understand that ascension is very much a part of nature. It's very much a part of, what's inside this earth, the core sun. And somebody might challenge me on this, but this is what I've, really come to understand, and that there's a diamond body, a diamond heart energy within this earth, and the more grounded we are, the better. So working with black stones like obsidian, onyx, and black tourmaline is really good. As far as, protecting the energetic field, Lisa Renee does a great meditation called the 12D Shield. I think you can look that one up. Just Google it. And it's called the 12D Shield. And, be creative with yourself. Write, your own mantras. Write your own, meditation. Because the more we can engage in our own creativity and operate from our own divine wisdom, we're going to find a formula that works really well for us. I think reprogramming ourselves is important, and maybe writing things down that, are on your fridge or in front of your bed or on the opposite side of your toilet that you can just read, that kind of shifts maybe belief systems about yourself and about the world, and just love, when we unify and when we treat ourselves and others well, and we live a path of integrity, that really shields us more than we can imagine. And, religion is kind of screwed with us, and other things have, when we have to remember that we're all spiritual, we're all multidimensional beings. And the more we understand our unconscious nature and the things that operate behind the scenes of ourselves, and the more we shine light on it, the more we actually expand into our multidimensional self, which is a very spiritual vibration, because spirit, you can't say that it doesn't exist. It animates life, and there's a source, and it's not about lower creator gods. It's not about deities. It's really about the 0 point, the neutron window that connects with other universes, and that also connects us to the neutrality and the oneness of the masculine and feminine and the right and left brain, and actually other aspects of us that haven't even come online yet for us to even be able to discuss and have it make any sense. But, balance is huge, and grounding, meditation, but really, not looking outside yourself. Come up with something that's good for you, because once you really feel comfortable in your own skin, your discernment and intuition is going to be stronger, and you're going to be able to tell the lies from the BS.
What do you think about the crazy flat Earth movement?
I kind of avoid it. I don't really care to even watch the videos to try and convince me one way or the other. I'm sure there's a great case for the flat Earth theory. I don't really like the way that people are speaking when they're promoting it, and the energy that comes off of them. So there's some red flags there for me. I understand things, in spheres more than I understand things on a flat level. But when I look at, where the 15-dimensional time matrix and the way dimensions work, yeah, flat Earth kind of makes sense. But when I look at it from another angle, spheres would make sense. And so when we look at, the planetary body, there are 12 spheres that are connected to the Albion body, which connects to our chakras and our DNA. And so, we're in a holographic sort of experience here. And I think the more we perceive dimensions beyond, what we're experiencing, we're going to experience something that isn't exactly what we've been taught. So I always rejected things that I learned in school. So I don't really want to choose one or the other, because right now it's not my priority, even though I feel like getting to the bottom of it's important. Right now, I feel like it's more draining than it's worth. And there's other things that I'd rather have my attention on that will be a better foundation to operate from than whether the earth is flat or not, because I find that people are going into duality and going into competition about it. And I would rather speak of unity and what I do understand that can actually benefit us and help activate us. And when my attention needs to be on it, it will. But right now, I would say I'm on the fence and I'm just sort of observing, and I'm seeing like, the Libra in me is like, yeah, okay, for both sides.
And so you're leaving the door cracked open is what you're saying.
I want to stay flexible because I think once you have fixed beliefs, you run the risk of, kind of getting lost. And I'm right now, I'm just like, okay, I don't need to delve into it so much that I form a fixed belief about it. I'm not being called in that direction.
Right. And let me jump in. First off, the earth is round. I'm cool with that. And the second thing is, even if it was flat, it doesn't change me.
Exactly. That's how I feel.
It doesn't. But I have to ask you, Laura, there's a lot of fantastical things that we are curious about. But with this flat earth thing, how in the world did this pick up steam? I mean, it is so far out there. Is it just because we love a good conspiracy? We like a puzzle?
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
That's what I felt right away. I'm just like, really? Like, why now? I mean, it's like, okay, Ebola didn't work. It didn't really catch on, so we're not going to annihilate ourselves with some sort of meme, that is going to compromise our health. We're going to be thrown different scares. We're going to deal with different false flags. We're going to deal with different natural disaster threats, which are more than likely activated through weather modification and superstorm creation. But we have to understand that our psychic power and what we choose to align with, is where our power lies at any given moment. And it doesn't mean that we are oblivious and we pretend that those things can't happen. It's just that we work with it as a tool and we allow ourselves to expand into something where we can steer things in a different direction, or we can alchemize it, or we can fully release it and purify ourselves from that particular energy or propaganda. And so the flat earth thing to me is just a distraction to create more argument and strife within the, I guess you could call it, truth movement. And I just don't need to have my attention on it because, like I said, the priority to me is unifying and not getting in a battle over this way or that way, because that's what we see in religion. That's what we see, in just it's too much in our world. Let's focus on coming together. And then, the truth doesn't need believers. It's going to prove itself to us, but let's get the foundation set first.
Where is the best way to get a hold of you?
You can find me on Facebook. I'm active there a lot. My name's, Laura Eisenhower on Facebook. You can check out my website, cosmicgaiasophia.com. You'll see, where I will be for events, and you'll see my readings link. So if you want to have a consultation with me, I do tarot astrology and clairvoyant readings, and just really help you to be in your power, in your authenticity, and to understand the nature of the different forces that you're working with, to help you see how it can serve you. And yeah, check me out there, cosmicgaiasophia.com. And Facebook, I post a lot, so you can follow me and you can see me at these events.
Thank you so much, Laura. Always a great conversation. And switch to decaf. And give my best to Doc.
I've always been, people thought my mom was on crack when she had me. My mom's never done any drugs. And this was before coffee. So this is just how I am.
Yep, exactly. And tell Dr. Dream we give him our best. And we'll see you in a couple of short days right here in Los Angeles. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
You got it. Laura Eisenhower, everybody. Fantastic conversation. Always great when she's on the show. This weekend, she'll be with us all weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Conscious Life Expo. This is Fade to Black. I'm going to take a quick break. More of your calls when I come back, and we'll do all of the news that you know absolutely nothing about. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. I'll be right back.
my boy, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Another winter, another cold and flu season. This year, try Sweet Annie's Herbs FACS formula. FACS means flu, allergy, cold, and sinus relief. Vitamin C, echinacea, golden seal, and propolis. Nature's antibiotic and antiviral remedy. Karen from Springfield says, amazing product, a miracle worker for me. Go to sweetannie.com and order FACS today. Use promo code TALK for free shipping. This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. TalkStream Live, now available in the iTunes App Store.
Hello, Fadernauts. Are you looking for the ultimate Bluetooth speaker system? Well, check this out. The Studio Dome surround sound system, featuring the Studio Dome 1 SD1 and the Studio Boombox SBB wireless Bluetooth speakers, is the perfect way to get surround sound without all of the cable headaches. With its own hard shell custom carrying case for taking your surround sound experience on the go. Each hard shell case comes packed with an SBB, 2 SD1s, cables, and power. It's just $99, and you use the promo code Jimmy, and you get yourself some free shipping. Once again, Studio Dome brings you the best deal on the net. Anywhere. Just go to the Studio Dome banner, jimmychurchradio.com, promo code Jimmy. Go Beckley Teppy.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRAradio.com.
This is KJCR at jimmychurchradio.com.
Ah, yeah. Love shows like this. I feel a little smarter. Thank you, Laura Eisenhower. She will be at the Conscious Life Expo this weekend. All right. ConsciousLifeExpo.com. It's going to be cool. Friday night, she will be right there with us on Fade to Black. Now, phone lines are open, 323-825-5045, 323-825-5045. Let's get to the news that you know nothing about. Worked really hard on this today with everybody, and, I was just bothered at the beginning of the show, and I just had to let that air out. There is something funky going on. Anyway. Spy agencies, listen to this. Spy agencies may be hacking into internet-connected consumer products to collect information about suspects. The Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, just told the Senate last week. Yes, the USA Freedom Act, which was passed in 2015, it prohibits spy agencies from gathering Americans' information data from phone and internet companies. But the law does not apply to all types of government surveillance or limit itself to cell phones or computers. Listen to me. They are tapping into everything connected. Everything, including TVs, baby monitors, and Barbies, to Google's Nest, an internet-enabled thermostat and smoke alarm, yes, anything connected to the net that happens to be equipped with sensors that gathers audio? How about cameras that collect video? Location information? Any data at all that is transferred throughout the internet. Further complicating matters, smart home devices tend not to be very secure. 70% of internet-enabled objects do not encrypt the data they transmit across the internet. Listen to me. This is according to a 2015 study by Hewlett-Packard. Intelligence agencies can remotely intercept data from these smart home devices and use it to track down targets. And that's the obvious thing. And this is according to the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper. It's so easy for them to tap into your smart refrigerator. I was talking to, I really can't say who. I can't. But talking to a friend of mine that is developing software and other products right here in Southern California. And one of the things that they are working on, oh, man, should I say this? Well, you know what I'm going to. Doesn't matter. It's the obvious. A smart mirror. You've seen this in movies, science fiction. And so, you go up and you're shaving and blup, you touch the mirror and you've got the news, right? You're checking your email. Think about that. And a camera coming back, and everybody's going to want one of those, right? Of course you are. You're giving it all up if you do. A smart razor. What about, to tell you to log in to some site that's going to track how many times you shave a day or a week, when you need to change your razor, when not to. Right? Think about that. Now you're communicating directly all the time. How about a smart toothbrush? I know it sounds dumb, but they're right. You're going to buy one at Costco very soon. How many times, what's your clean rate, your scrub rate. You need to slow down. Just like your smart watch, your iWatch. Yeah. How many steps you're taking in a day? Well, how about how many times you're scrubbing your teeth in a minute? All of this data is going to be out there. It's scary. Hacktivists, I love doing this. Hacktivist Collective, Anonymous, claims to have dumped online a huge database belonging to Turkey's General Directorate of Security, the EGM, in response to various abuses by the Turkish government in recent months. The person who uploaded the database today said he received it from a hacker who had persistent access to various parts of the Turkish government's infrastructure for the past 2 years. Are you sitting down? The compressed file is going to weigh in at about 2.8 gigabytes. The uncompressed version, 17.8 gigabytes of security information from the Turkish security service. Unbelievable. Happened today. Go check it out. Look it up. Manually, this is about as disturbing as it gets right here. Manually setting the date of your iPhone or iPad to the date of 1 January 1970, or tricking your friends into doing it, will cause it to get permanently stuck while trying to boot back up as if it switched off. You know what it's called. It's called bricking. The bug within Apple's date and time settings within iOS causes such an issue that users are reporting that the fail-safe restore techniques using iTunes are not able to repair the problem. The date bug affects iPhones, iPads, and iPod Touches with 64-bit processors running iOS 8 or iOS 9, including the iPhone 5S or newer, including the iPad Air, the iPad Mini 2, or the 2015 6th generation iPod Touch or newer. The precise cause of the issue has not been confirmed, although speculation points to a way the iOS store's date and time formats, meaning that 1 January 1970 is stored as a value of 0 or less than 0, causing every other process that requires the timestamp to fail. But there is a possibility that a malicious attacker could trick an iOS device connected to a network set to automatically adjust its time settings into setting the date to 1 January 1970 by pretending to be a time server. Yes, a hacker could brick every 64-bit iPhone connected to a public Wi-Fi network. Insane. And if you think now, when all of this started to leak out into the public last week, I thought to myself, this can't be real. There's no way. First off, there's reason number one. Most hackers looked up to Jobs and Wozniak and what Apple is about, and they just kind of left Apple alone. It was all focused at Microsoft. You know, and they just kind of, and I just thought there's no way, right, that somebody would take advantage of this. And now it is like the thing to do. This 1 January 1970 thing. And then I thought to myself, why release this information? Why not just fix it behind the scenes? Because by releasing the information, now everybody knows how to do it. Yeah, you have to scroll, you have to do some stuff to get it done. But you could trick a friend into doing it. Or some guy, some hacker, could actually jump on a public Wi-Fi network and just by pretending to be a server, that you could turn around and have phones automatically jump to the 1 January 1970 date and brick everything. Now you're telling everybody how to do it. There's plenty of ways to fake yourself into being a server. Why let the information go? Why not fix it behind the scenes? I don't know. Just me. It's the way my brain works. 4 Americans have been arrested in Bahrain. Yep, for entering the country using false information and allegedly participating in, and I'm quoting here, attacks on police. And this is according to a police statement that was released today. Bahrain officials said that some of the arrested Americans were members of, check this, wait for it, international media, but had not registered with the concerned authority and were involved in illegal activities. The family of one of those arrested released a statement identifying one of the journalists as Anna Therese Day. The other 3 Americans have not been identified yet. All 4 Americans entered the country between February 11th and 12th, today's the 15th, providing false information that they were tourists. This is according to the Bahrain Interior Ministry. Now, the Americans' presence coincided with rallies marking the 5th anniversary of Bahrain's 2011 uprising. Now, information right now is vague, but they did get arrested. Why would journalists not identify themselves as journalists when entering a country? It's a curious situation. You are protected, all journalists, especially if you're a card-carrying member of the press and you've got credentials and you're credentialed. That's the one thing that you want to do. You want to identify yourself as that. You're protected. You're protected for a lot of different reasons. But not all countries in the world, but most. Freedom of the press is paramount. Nobody wants a negative or bad information getting out there. There's a reason for that. And it doesn't matter if you're the press and you're embedded with ISIS, or you're the press in Moscow, or you're the press in Bahrain, even North Korea. It doesn't matter. You identify yourself as the press and you're protected. To a certain degree, you're protected. So if you're going to go to a celebration like this, or you're going to go to a protest, you're not misidentified as one of the protesters. That's one example of it, right? You got your press jacket on, you got your press credentials hanging off, and you don't get shot. That's one example. You don't get arrested. You're not a protester. Or maybe you know, and I think you understand what I'm saying here. But why go to Bahrain and identify yourself as tourist for something like this? It's very interesting. And why they are being vague about it, and certainly releasing names and so forth, and who the other news organizations are, and why they were embedding themselves as tourists, is interesting to me. And there's more on this to follow. New York City police have tracked citizen cell phones for over 1,000 times since 2008 without using warrants, and this is according to public records obtained by the New York Civil Liberties Union. Now, this is something that I've spoken about countless times here on Fade to Black. The organization announced today that the NYPD has typically used stingrays after obtaining low-level court orders, but not warrants. There's a difference. Before using the devices. The department also does not have a policy guiding how police use the devices. This is the first time that the scope of the stingray use by the nation's largest police agency has been confirmed. Now, apparently, and this is 1,000 times without a warrant. So apparently, we have NYPD cars, probably, maybe some set up in apartments or hotel rooms. But the Stingray box is set up, turned on, and they are literally listening to phone calls. A Stingray can also accumulate all of your text information, your history, certainly your location, and your phone call. And since they can do that, all of it can be recorded. All of this, and if you've seen a Stingray, you know, there's ports on it to allow it to go to a computer to record all of the data. And they don't need a warrant. And there is no protocol set up internally inside of the NYPD when not to do this. It's a blank check to go out and collect data. I think the stingrays are some of the most dangerous things right now in the country. And it's inevitable that a stingray would be created because it's actually quite simple. Technology is technology. Software is software. And if you need to get something done, you're going to find an engineer and a software, a coder out there to design and create something like this. It's not difficult. The question is morality. That's where it lies. And then to go and to manufacture this and to be allowed to build it and to turn around and sell it, and who you're selling it to or giving it to. And in this case, it's police departments. You know the FBI, they've already talked about this. You know the NSA, they are using these devices. But to be able to do it without a warrant and not to have a specific target in place where you go to a judge and say, hey, judge, this, here's our reasons. We need a warrant. Well, a wiretap is the perfect example of that, or a search warrant. It's the same thing. You're invading somebody's privacy. You need to do that, and we have our rights. 1,000 times since 2008. We don't know who it was, who they were investigating, and why. It could be for any reason. They could literally be scanning and grabbing numbers and phone conversations just because. Nothing in the rule book, nothing in the handbook Interesting. Where are we? A massive diamond, among the largest ever discovered, was recently unearthed in Angola. You can go to our Facebook page right now and check out this picture. It is gnarly. And it was a mining company, Lacapa. They announced it today. How big is it? It's 404.2 carats. It measures about 7 centimeters across and is about the length of a credit card. It was mined by the Lulo Diamond Project. Now, go look at the diamond. Doesn't look like a diamond, not like a teardrop or a round circle. No, it's square. It's got a little bend to it, and a credit card is the right description, but it's huge. It's like a half of a brick. Take a red brick, cut it in half. That's how big this thing is. It's about 3 inches thick. It's about 3 inches across. It is huge. 404 carats. Go check out the pictures. All right, let's see. Police in California are asking for the public's help after blow darts hit 2 people who were walking on the Golden Gate Bridge. Have you seen this? The darts, the blow darts, they're about, I'm going to guess here and say 4 to 5 inches long, metal. You know, it's a dart. It's a long, like a coat hanger type size if you cut 4 inches out of a coat hanger. It's like that with a sharpened tip, real sharp tip. And then on the end, I saw the 2. One was red, one was white. Little plastic tip on the backside of the dart that allows you to blow it through a blowgun. The victims were struck Friday afternoon. This is according to the California Highway Patrol. They were evaluated by paramedics at the scene and released. A blowgun. The darts are being tested right now to ensure that they weren't coated in chemicals. The victims right now are okay. One got hit. Now, with all of the video cameras that must be on the bridge, the when and where should be simple, right? Where the victims were hit, when they were hit. That is coming. And we're going to find out shortly who did it and why. Be able to get the license plate number of the car. And with all of the, the traffic cams and everything that is all over the Golden Gate Bridge, somebody's about to get caught. You can't walk across the Golden Gate Bridge without getting shot at. It's absolutely incredible. Incredible to me. All right, let's see. Where are we? I got time for one phone call now that I got through the news. 323-825-5045. Oh, I wanted to say really quick, I want to light up Twitter. Let me. I haven't looked at Twitter in like 20 minutes here, 25 minutes. I want to light up Twitter. How does it sound? We went through the system here. We installed the new console. We did a full readjustment and leveling of all of the compressors and EQs and microphones and everything else. We went through everything today. So I was just curious as to, I didn't ask at the beginning of the show how everything sounded. Okay, time for one last phone call. Who's calling? Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hi, hey Jimmy, this is Christopher. How you doing? I just had a quick question about Scalia's death. What do you think? Suspicious or what?
It's kind of funky. Yeah. I've heard. I don't know what you heard, Christopher, but I had read something about a pillow on his head. Did you read?
Yeah, I just saw that. That's why I was really, red flag went up. I was like, what? How come we didn't hear that? Where's that coming from? It's supposed to be the guy that found him said that now, the ranch owner?
Yes. And this is where, okay, first off, 79 years old, lived a great life, long time, 79. Okay. All right. So we have that part of it. He could have just, right? But the other curious thing that I thought, and I forgot to mention this, I'm glad you brought it up, but he said before he went to bed, allegedly, apparently, that he just wasn't feeling well, right? And he's in Texas for a hunting expedition, right? A hunting trip. Okay, no big deal. But he says he's not feeling well. So in the morning, everybody splits. You know, they get together, have breakfast, they do the things that they do on a hunting trip. I've never been on one, but I'm assuming they had breakfast, right? You get together, and he doesn't show up for breakfast. Nobody goes to his room. Wouldn't somebody go to Scalia's room and like rap on the door and go, dude, we're having breakfast. You're not down here. Come on, it's getting cold. Right? Am I right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, absolutely.
And then what do? They split and leave him there. No, they don't even go.
And there's so many other things, too. Like, there was no U.S. Marshals. I heard these justices are assigned these guys, and he declined it this time for some reason. And then after they found the body, it was like hours before they could find a justice of the peace to declare him dead. And then when they did, she did it over the phone.
Yes,
I mean,
see, I was going to get, Chris, I was going to get to all of that. I was leading up to it. You know what I mean? So they go, and if your buddies left you, right, at the pad, and they go out and they come back, hey, man, we had a great time, man, we did this, we did that. And you'd be pissed off, right? Nobody went, I forgot to set my alarm, I forgot to call the front desk and get a wake-up call, but you guys split and went and had a good time without me. You know what I mean? What do friends do? You go up, you knock on the door and go, dude, we're leaving, are you ready? Do you need us to wait before we go? Do you need to get up and get in the shot? That's what friends do, but they didn't. Everybody,
exactly. Weird.
I love a good conspiracy like everybody, but this one just kind of smells a little stinky from the word go.
It really does, man. It really does. And you know what? I don't know. I don't know if I'm getting stuck into conspiracy theories more and more. But like you just said, this one's like, this is so obvious almost that it's like it's right in our face and we're not even looking at it. It's like, come on, what's going on with this?
And then
very strange.
Yes, and then throw in the icing on the cake. It's an election year, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Yes, it's like really, really weird.
And now it's an election year, and you have 1 year left of a Democrat, a liberal Democrat, and the most conservative justice just died on the Supreme Court. You know, come on.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to say, hey, somebody knocked him off, but it's just so weird. And we're caught up in all these things, recollecting his life and his service to the country. But man, wait a minute. They're not even going to do an autopsy on this guy. I mean, there's so many questions left unanswered. I don't know what's going on. It's really it's just crazy.
I was reminded of, and I know you thought about the same thing. Remember when I think it was Dick Cheney. I mean, I think it was Texas. Wasn't it Texas where Dick Cheney shot his friend in the back?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I thought about that today, and I almost went back. It's worth checking. What if it was the same ranch?
Oh my God! Yeah.
I thought about that today. It's like, what is it with Texas and politics and hunting?
I mean, not to make light of it, but you're right. Absolutely. I mean, wouldn't that be a coincidence?
Oh no, I'm not making light of it. He shot his buddy in the back, and how do you do that?
Yeah, really.
So,
yeah, really.
But
no, but it's been bugging me more and more. The more I find out about it, when I heard about the pillow thing, I said, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had somebody go in there and knock this guy off, the least they could do is move the pillow out of the way.
Right. Well, see, there's a few things right in a row, Christopher, and thank you for the brilliant phone call, by the way. There's just too many things right in a row. How are you letting your buddy not eat breakfast with you? That's buddy rule number one, right? You don't break that. Buddy rule number two is you and the crew don't go out and have fun on the trip that you're there to go and do, and leave your buddy back at the hotel. That's buddy rule number two, right? These are things that us guys hold sacred. Am I wrong? Right?
No, not at all. It's common. Come on. That's like even common sense.
Right. You just don't do it. And these basic rules were broken out of the gate, and it just makes it feel funny. And then you throw the election year on top of it. The over the phone death certificate, it's just like, man, he's
it's very strange.
Yeah,
and then they're saying the family said they didn't want an autopsy, and you can take it for what it's worth, but just add to the fact of this whole situation that there's no autopsy now on this person. It's unbelievable.
Yep,
I mean, there's so many details that are just hanging out in the ether that we're never going to get, and it's just going to go away. They're going to shift the focus onto, well, who's going to replace him, rather than, wait a minute, hold the phone. How did this guy die?
Exactly. Exactly. Hey, Christopher, thank you, man, and thank you for bringing that to my attention. I completely spaced it tonight. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah, I'll talk to you. Thank you so much. That's the way you end a show. Right there. This is Fade to Black. Thank you to Laura Eisenhower. Absolutely fascinating show tonight. Always great when she's on. Do want to remind everybody one more time, Conscious Life Expo this weekend. Laura will be there. Tickets and info at consciouslifeexpo.com. Fade to Black's executive producers Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Mark Dunbar, and Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar, Fady by Dale. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldridge. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication by KGRA The Planet. Tomorrow night, right here, Nick Jankel. You're going to, live from London, England. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2016 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. Cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I want everybody to be safe. Go Beckley Tappy.